Friends, fans, and fine folk, grab your drinks and snacks and come down to the campfire for this short rest with me and my friend Brandon, the DM. Beer, 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 beer. How's it going? How's it going, Brandon? Give us a noise check. There we are. Perfect. It's working. Audio goblins slain. How you doing? Good day so far?
Good
It's
day.
real early
Good
for you
morning
and
so
real
far.
late for me. Yeah.
Yeah, woke
Time
up
zones.
like I was telling you before we started this. I usually try to wake up around like 5 or 6 in the morning now to like start my day because therapy suggested I start being more productive in the mornings, and it's actually been a massive help. So
Yeah.
it's 7 a.m. for me. I've been up since
Hate it.
5:30, and I'm like, I feel great. I'm
Hate it
wide
when those
awake. This is good.
therapists tell you to do something, you're like, no, and then you do it, and you're
Yeah.
like, that's better. Damn it.
Yep.
Damn it, why do they know what they're talking about?
Which is ironic because I do the same thing for kids. Like I do that's my job with kids and stuff. So I give
Yeah.
them advice that I should also follow, but I don't. And then I get my own therapist that tells me the same things I tell other people, and I'm just like, God damn it. So,
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
there's an expression for that in there, and it's the cobbler's kids go shoeless. Meaning if you're doing it for a
Okay.
living, you don't follow you don't end up doing it
Yeah.
yourself.
But well, how are you? Everybody always asks what the
doing
guest
all
is
right.
doing, but how's the
I am,
host?
I
Yeah.
am doing okay. It's been a productive couple of days. The Viva la Dirt League D&D series that I run is just starting their second current campaign. Now that they've got a studio set up and stuff, it's going to be an all-female
Nice.
campaign. We had the session 0 for that yesterday, and that was amazing. It was we got to make characters and things, and I'm super excited to actually start coming up with a story for them now. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm in a good place. It's pretty exciting things.
Good. Good to hear.
But we are on a short rest right now. So
Yeah.
enough about that. We need to set up what the hell's going on. Why are we on a short rest? Are we on a mission of some kind? Are we are we on a quest that we have to take a break from? Is
Uh,
it epic and world ending, or is it just mundane and like help a guy move?
oh, it's definitely mundane and help a guy move. It's a very just like your average Ohioan quest that you have to go through. Wake up and deal with the hellscape that is the land that you're traversing through on your way home from work. And
You were telling me not to date this audio too much, but you were telling me about what's going on in Ohio at the moment with the toxic train derailing and
yeah, we had a massive like train derailing like 15 minutes from my house a while back, like earlier in the year, and like it was a big thing.
dumping a
I'm like,
bunch of toxic waste, and you can't even drink the water now and stuff. That's horrible.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
it's bad.
so we're on a quest. Make it a lifetime, a true to life fantasy quest. Then we are some evil tyrant has derailed
Crashed a
some horse
train.
and cart full of toxic waste. And then mutations, and so we've been just slaying mutants left
Yeah,
and
so
right.
it's Fallout. Yeah, we're doing
Yes,
Fallout.
Fallout. We're
Yeah.
doing a Fallout quest, and we're on a short rest. Have we got a campfire going?
I would say we definitely have a campfire going, but it's not like a campfire. It's like one of those just like burn barrels.
It's a burn barrel. Yes, of course. It's a burn
Yeah.
barrel. And what are we drinking? I can't be drinking spring water, so we got our own like filtration
Oh.
systems.
No, I would say we probably made our own like form of like moonshine of whatever
Yeah, of course.
alcohol we could find in remaining
Anything you've got
houses
to
and stuff.
distill to make it. Drinkable.
Yeah. Hmm.
Awesome. So for this short rest, now that we're all set up and sitting around a burn barrel, I like to usually start with the name. So the name of the stuff that you do. So let's start with that because it is actually a more complicated topic than we think. Because you've got like what,
It
three,
is,
four,
yeah.
5, 7.
It was not the smartest idea.
It's the what is it, SEO?
Yeah, a little unintentional, I guess you could say. It was bad.
So
Uh,
list this for them. We've got Brandon the DM. We've got Cantrip
So-
Test. We've got Brain of Brandon.
Brain of Brandon is like my side gaming project that I have for myself. Yeah,
Yeah. Is there any others?
yeah. Brandon the DM, the Cancer Cast, Brain of Brandon. No, those are like probably like the main three.
Okay.
That's really it.
Okay, cool. And tell us, Brandon the DM's a pretty obvious one, right? Your name's Brandon. You're a DM.
Brain of the DM is definitely the obvious one because of like TikTok. Do you want me to start from the beginning real quick, or we just kind of like?
Sure. Yeah. Let's start from the beginning.
It actually started like 6 years ago with just a podcast called We Can Trip. Like We Can Trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's when like Dave from
Yeah, of course.
Careful Can Trip.
Careful.
Yeah, I'm like, just so you know, I came up with Be Careful We Can Trip. I came up with that first. And he's like, fuck yeah.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
like 6 years ago.
About 8 years
I
ago, when I was getting into D&D, one of the
yeah
first D&D themed jokes I heard was, "What's the difference between wizards and rogues? Wizards can trip, and rogues
yeah
can't, and thieves can't."
yeah. So we we started with a podcast called We Can Trip, a D&D podcast. We did that for like 2-3 years, and then eventually we made from the podcast We Can Trip, a D&D podcast. I made a YouTube channel called The Cantrip Cast because like the podcast was called
Right.
We Can Trip, and then the YouTube was going to be, instead of being like We Can Trip YouTube, it was going to be like The Cantrip Cast, where like
Yeah.
we as like the podcast members were going to make a YouTube channel, The Cantrip Cast. You know what I mean? So kind
That
of
makes
like
sense. Yeah,
correlated,
I
yeah,
did.
related with each other.
I was gonna ask you about the Cantrip Cast. I was like, it makes it sound like a
Yeah.
podcast, but it's a YouTube channel.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So like We Can Trip, a D&D podcast was by The Cantrip Cast, you know? So that's
Yeah,
kind of like
gotcha.
where
That
it
makes
kind of
sense.
started stemming from. And I wanted to find a way to promote like the podcast and YouTube more. So what did I do? TikTok. But I didn't want to make like my TikTok channel be like the Cantrip Cast because like
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be mainly just like me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have like my own personal persona and profile for TikTok where I promote like my publishing brand, like the Cantrip Cast and stuff. So that's
And
where
you are Brandon, the DM from Cantrip.
Brandon the
Cast.
DM
So,
from the
right.
Cantrip Cast. Yeah, so that's
Makes
where
sense.
that
See,
came
it makes
from.
sense. It makes sense.
Yeah,
when
so
you lay it out.
when you explain it, it makes sense. But when people are like, "What's your username?" and I'm just like, "Yes," you know.
Yes, which one?
Um, and then recently this year, you know, I wanted to start doing more like gaming stuff or like things for myself. That was like kind of like not in the vein of D&D because like I like doing D&D stuff, but I also like to take a break away from stuff sometimes. So like I don't know, just have fun, do my own thing, and that's where you know Brain of Brandon came from. That's where my non D&D stuff is, just like gaming and stuff like that. So yeah.
And that's just like straight from the brain of Brandon. That was
Pretty
what
much,
you
yeah.
for that
Literally,
one.
it could be a stupid skit. It could be it's anything that I'm just like, this is a cool idea, but it's not D&D related. Okay, that's going
Yeah.
over here.
So that makes
Yeah.
sense. And it's been good for your mental health, like you to have that other thing where it doesn't.
It
It doesn't have
was
the
actually,
sort of,
yeah.
The pressure of like, oh, we've got 200 and some thousand on this channel, so I've got to kind of curate what I'm putting on Cantrip Cast. So you're like, I don't need to worry about that shit when it's the
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Is like, you know, because doing this stuff can be stressful sometimes. Like when
yeah.
you've got like, you know, all these followers and expectations and these projects, and et cetera, et cetera. And you're just like, I still want to do things, but without the pressure. So let me make this little side channel. And it was like, originally I'm just like, let's try it out. Maybe it's going to stress me out more. I don't know. Or it's going to be really good for me. It turned out it was really good for me because it is definitely a nice little outlet where it's like, I have this funny idea I want to post for a video. I don't fucking care if it gets views or not.
Yeah.
And I can do it.
Awesome.
You know, it's fine.
So let's go way back to the beginning with your start to D&D. How did you get into tabletop role playing games and D&D?
Ooh. I have been playing D&D since I was about 8 years old. The reason it's funny how like we talked about my like usernames and like profiles and stuff kind of like all correlating together. What's kind of the same thing with like D&D and like my professional career because you know my big skit I'm known for is DM therapy, you know, on TikTok and stuff. Well, I work in mental health with kids for a living, and I'm actually getting ready to pursue my master's degree and blah 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 blah.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Well, I'll start from the beginning real quick. I started when I was like 8, and the reason I started playing was because at the time my parents were going through like a really nasty divorce. It was really really bad.
Right.
But I had a friend of mine whose dad was super into D&D, and they got me out of the house to get away from like all the stuff that was happening. And he introduced me to this game, and I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. And I'm like 8-9 years old.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we moved. You know, as divorces happen, shit happens. We moved away. Lost all my friends, but I still.
What edition was the game you were introduced to?
Third. It was either third or 3 point. I think it was 3.5.
Right.
I think 3 point. It was like 20 plus years ago, so like 3.5, I think. So like moved away. Sucked. Lost all my friends, but I still love this game. And like my mom knew I loved like the game a lot, so she bought me for my birthday, like my 10th birthday, something like that, the 3.5 books. And I started playing D&D with like my friends in like middle school, and like going into high school playing 3.5, and just fell in love with it. Loved the game, kept it going, didn't stop, kept writing, kept playing, kept adventuring, and just continuously going and going. It's like the one thing I latched onto when I was a little kid that helped with like an emotional. Good.
Did you play for a long time before DMing, or were you just like straight into it and hooked on like?
I was pretty much like straight into DMing. When I first started, I wasn't DMing because like my friend's dad was DMing and stuff. But then when we moved away, I was telling like all my new friends I was making, like, let's play Dungeons and Dragons. They're like, what's that? And I'm like, I'm gonna show you. Don't worry.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so I've been at Forever DM since I was like 10. But I love it. I do.
Yeah, same.
But it was very much like a therapeutic kind of like game for me growing up because it helped me get through a lot of things. The escapism, the writing, like everything was fantastic. But now, being 30 years old, I now run a D&D like, social skills and behavior therapy group with kids that are also going through similar things,
Yeah,
introducing
right.
to this game, and it's kind of coming full circle, which is really cool.
And how did that start, the therapy side of things? Like you just
What's
always
that?
knew that you wanted to get into it, like being a therapist and
Oh,
using that with kids and stuff. Like,
yeah, I kind of knew from like a young age when I was like in probably like high school. I know I wanted to do that because it helped me get through like a lot of stuff. It just really did.
yeah,
And I had met some really good therapists like along the way when I was a kid, and I know without them, I probably wouldn't be in a good spot like I am now. And I
yeah,
wanted to
okay.
help kids kind of like have that same outlet. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did a similar thing. So when I was starting out as a professional dungeon master, my first job was a friend of a friend saw me acting like a stupid idiot at a board game cafe during like a semi roleplay game situation, and she came up
Yeah.
to me like a little bit later and was like, "I have a feeling you'd be a good dungeon master." I was like, "Oh, I've just started getting into it." She was like, "Do you wanna come and DM for my kid's birthday party? I'll give you a couple $100 or something." I was like, "Sure, I'll give it a go. What does he want?" And we talked it through and stuff, and she was like, "I'm just warning you, he's a weirdo." I was like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Yeah, no, like, it's certifiable weirdo. He's got this and this and this." And I was like, "Cool." And she's like, "All his friends do as well." And I was like, "It's fine." And then
Yeah, there
I
you go.
played a game for them, and they all fucking loved it. And then she ended up starting a D&D for kids kind of Sunday school kind of a thing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And she got me on as a dungeon master, and her and I kind of built this thing from the beginning of just like helping neurodivergent capital W weirdos, as she called them, and just being like, hey, they have an escapism. They have like, if they're struggling with their own social skills, it doesn't necessarily.
Oh yeah.
It's a good way to kind of get
There's
yourself
so
removed from that.
much
You
to
can
it.
test, yeah,
Yeah.
you can test out stuff through your character that you are not that you're too
That
afraid
you're
to
not
test
comfortable
out
with in
for
person.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, all this
Give me
stuff.
give me 1 second real quick. My dog is chewing on his D20 blanket. I'm gonna take that away from him real quick and give him a bone. Everybody can say hello to the pupper when I move him. Hold on a
Yeah, I
second.
did. Yeah,
Odin.
this is exactly what I predicted. As soon as the dog walked on camera, I started counting down in my head, and I thought it would just be 10 seconds, but it was like 23 seconds before somebody was like, "Doggo, background doggo." So you took a little longer than I was expecting. For those listening on podcast form later, what breed is your dog?
There we go.
For those listening to the podcast form later, what breed is your dog?
He is an Australian Shepherd Border Collie mix.
And he's beautiful, black and
He
white.
is. Yeah,
Very
he's adorable. He's very hyper. But he's a good boy. He
He's a
likes
big
hanging
fella.
out with me in the mornings. He's big. He's like 65 pounds. He's got the looks of a border collie, but he definitely has the build of an Australian Shepherd. So,
Yeah. How long you had him? Whole life?
yeah, we got him when he was a puppy when he was like 8 weeks old. So he's a good loyal boy. Just he loves his blanket, the one he was just laying on in the background.
Yeah.
Every morning we have the same routine. Wake up, come in here. I get my coffee. He gets his food. He lays on the blanket.
Nice.
He eats his food. He chews on this bone. He gets sick of the bone for a second. He chews on the blanket. I take the
Chews on the
blanket
blanket,
away.
take
I give
it
him
away.
the
It's
bone.
a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So that's why when I took it, he was like, "Yeah, this is normal."
Yeah, this is the usual. If you
So
didn't take it off him, it'd just probably get confused. His Pavlovian response would be like,
yeah,
I meant to,
probably.
this
Like
isn't right.
it's
Something's not."
about time, Dad. But no, yeah, with therapy and stuff. I mean, like when I started this, this D&D like behavioral therapy group at my work and everything. And at first, like my boss was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, blah blah blah. Like, cause like they're a little older, so like they're part of like the old generation of like counseling, mental health. We're just like, is this really therapeutic? So I wrote like a 5-page essay that I'm actually using for my my master's like
Oh wow,
application, the same thing,
nice.
and show them like this is why. And they were like, oh yeah, run that. And it has been like our
Yeah, nice.
fastest growing group in my company in the past like 5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So they were like, Brandon, can you keep doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I can.
So you started. So it was your kind of idea to start that. Like it's been your baby from the ground up.
Yeah, it was, which is really nice. Like I've been working in mental health for probably like 8 or 9 years now. For different companies and stuff, just kind of like exploring the field, figuring out like what kind of company I want to work for, what I want to
Right.
do, and like I have a
What
passion for
field
like
of mental health? Yeah.
yeah, and I've after doing it for so long, I definitely have like a passion for like school-based kind of like
Right. Yeah.
therapy with kids because like that's important to have in school. But then I also do
Mm.
stuff like after school with kids, or during the summer and all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of like preemptive mental health as well, because it's kind of there's so
Yes,
much shit gets piled on as a kid that you
yes,
take into your adulthood that you don't realize that is related
yes,
to stuff from a
correct.
kid. And if only we'd had a therapeutic outlet or the words to explain what we were feeling, or to
Hmm.
understand that it's okay for boys to feel emotions and not just turn all
Hmm.
of those emotions into anger, because anger's the one that it's actually less shameful to
Yeah.
experience as a boy and all this stuff.
No, yeah, we
So yeah, huge admiration for people who do mental health things with kids, because I think it's super
I
important.
love it. But yeah, no, I saw it was funny because like for the longest time I wanted to start a D&D group. And I've done it in the past. Like my first company, I like trialed it and like ran some still like some one shots and stuff here and there for kids and everything. But I wanted to start like a true like program of sorts.
Yeah.
Whatever. I wanted to start like a full like program, and I could never get it off the ground, because like it just either nobody like believed in it, or like they couldn't see the vision in it, or they didn't think it was like worth the time, or maybe just like not even that, just like some people for certain like programs just weren't interested in like hosting
Hmm.
that or whatever. But I started at this new company in January of this year. And a couple months in, after I got like settled and everything, and I was placed in like the school that I was working at and everything, summer came around. They pretty much asked me like, "Hey, Brandon, like, what do you want to do for summer? Because like, there's no school, so you got to figure out something." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's true." And there's a summer camp that we do every summer with our kids and everything. But on top of that, they're like, if you want to do something else where you don't have to do the camp as much, then you're free to come up with whatever you want to come up with.
Yeah.
Be creative. And I'm like, "Hey, can I do this thing I've always wanted to do?" And they were like, "Sure, try it out." And then like a month in, they were like, "So do you want to run this during the school year too? Because this is
Do you want
really
to run this
popular."
24 hours a day, please?
Yeah, no, I do my program 3 days a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I work 4 days a week because I work 4 10s instead of doing like 5 8s, which is
Wow.
like
Yeah, yeah,
traditional like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess like work schedule. Um, so 3 days out of the week, out of my 4 days that I work, I'm doing my D&D program with kids
And
because it's that
and that's
popular.
for the whole day, like a 10-hour day that
No,
you do.
no, half the day. I want to say like
Something's buzzing. Is that your end? It's your end.
hold on 1 second.
The dog's managed to set off something buzzing. One of the lightsabers or something. it's a proper nerdy D&D show when it gets interrupted by a lightsaber malfunction. Don't forget, everybody, if you have questions for us, I will be missing a lot of the chat while we're
Apparently,
talking, so redeem your
one of
questions
my
with your channel
lightsabers.
redemptions.
One
Yeah,
of my lightsabers decided to start.
I was just saying it's a
Fuck.
proper nerdy tech problem when an interview gets interrupted by a lightsaber malfunction.
That was weird.
Somebody is using the force to turn it on from a distance. 10 out of 10 would play lightsabers with that dog. Yeah.
I think he threw a bone at it. Yeah, I see the bone sitting over there, but the bone must have hit the corner and just like bumped the
Turned it on or
battery.
something. Yeah, bumped it.
Anyways, as I was saying, D&D stuff.
So how
They asked
long,
me.
how much of your day was spent actually playing on the days that you play?
My group, usually about 3 hours every day. So like the first half an hour is like the kids coming in, like decompressing, like talking about their day, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. And
Yeah.
we'll do like 2 to 2.5 hours of like actually playing. Then the last 30 minutes is like, let's talk about the session. What was the lesson today? Like that kind of stuff. Because I have to make it therapeutic at least. It's not
Yeah,
just
of course, it makes sense.
they walk in and they play, but like just naturally by playing the game, they're getting those therapeutic lessons of like
And
escapism. And I always good.
how many roughly kids are we talking? Like in one session
Five
at a
to
time?
six.
Okay.
That's like
Right.
usually the max that'll go because I feel it's a lot of teenagers, like teenage
Right.
high school kids is what I run it for. And anything past 6 is kind of hard to run to make it like actual like therapeutic
Oh
because
yeah.
I want to give each kid like time to express
Yeah.
themselves and
Yeah.
work through things and etc. Because whenever we do character creation, I ask them to take like one or two aspects of themselves they want to work on to put into their character and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Man, this is sounds like very interesting work. Sounds like sort of you can't draw on a lot of other people who have done this before. Like I don't. It's not like you can Google all that much. I'd imagine.
No, I mean, there is some stuff that is like out there that I have looked
Mm-hmm.
into, like like how to do this properly, because I do want to make it. I don't want to just like bullshit it and make it like, oh yeah, I'm just playing D&D. Like I actually
Yeah.
do want to make it therapeutic and like
Yeah.
provide therapeutic lessons and etc. So I have looked into things, but like it's not. It's growing in popularity. Doing D&D as therapy is definitely like becoming more
Yeah.
popular. To the point where like there is stuff to at least research now. But it's not like looking up DM tips where you'll find like a
Yeah.
page of
A
DM tips on
million
every
thing. Yeah.
website.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I know that when I get my master's degree, there is a program I want to do that's called Therapeutic Game Master, where it's actually like board. It's like mental health board approved, I believe. It's like a 2 or 3 day training where you can get like an extra certification on top of your licensure for like therapeutic game mastering and
Oh
stuff. That's like
wow.
a newer thing that came out recently.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. Okay, so it is
Yeah.
starting to be a thing that people are
Hmm.
acknowledging.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is really
that's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's really good
Hmm.
to hear. So let's talk about the first podcast because I know you've got another podcast as well, right? The name of that one. There was one I was when I was looking up all your stuff earlier today on
Oh, yeah,
your website and
we've got
things.
a couple podcasts and actual plays we've done over the past couple years. Yeah, we have a good handful, honestly.
What's
Um,
the talk about that first one? You can trip.
oh,
Who
the
did you
first
start that
one.
with, and what was the impetus
The first
for
one
starting
was
it?
called We Can Trip, a D&D podcast, and that featured me, my friends Greg, Ian, and Cameron, and we were the biggest group of idiots just ever because it started for fun, strictly for fun. Like my old basement, at my wife and I's old house. Like Greg had never played D&D before. Cameron, I knew from like years ago. I knew he loved D&D. He was like an old friend. Like I knew him from like like going to the skating rink and stuff as kids. But I
Yeah.
knew he loved D&D. And then I had a buddy named Ian who was actually like a big D&D fan too. So we were just essentially all friends. Got together, played D&D. I had the equipment. We recorded it, and it was fun. Ridiculous things happened. We did like drinking episodes and stuff where like like just just for the fuck of it. It was a lot of fun. The story it was a very typical D&D high fantasy story, like, oh, you got to stop a lich and your parents are bad, just very 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 cliche, but it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun, and it gained a little bit of traction just from like the promotion and stuff like that, which was cool. Unfortunately, I hate saying this, but COVID kind of killed it
Right.
because we were recording everything in person, and we
Yeah.
tried doing it virtually,
Yeah.
and it
This
wasn't the
wasn't.
same.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
And
we
we
did a
couldn't.
similar thing. We were playing D&D in person for the D&D channel, the Viva stuff, and then COVID came along and just put a stop to any in-person stuff. So we were like, okay, let's do some and call them the isolation games, and we did it all over Roll20, and the audio
Yeah.
quality was terrible, and the video and the microphones
Mhm.
and stuff. It's just you lose out on so much enjoyment
And
from the
the
table as well.
energy
Like
wasn't,
people, yeah, the
yeah,
energy's strong. Yeah. I think
and
D
it
and
just
D
killed it. It
over
sucked.
online can work if that's all you've got. Like if you can't get in person with your D&D crew, then doing it online can work. Like as a private
Hmm.
thing. I just think doing it as an actual play is really difficult to do remotely.
Yeah, it's really hard, and we tried it, and like it wasn't even an actual play. Like the first, it was just a podcast. That was strictly it,
Right,
just a
right.
podcast, audio only. So like we tried doing a couple episodes remotely, and but it still wasn't the same. Like it
Yeah,
just wasn't. Like we were all using different equipment. Like the audio quality immediately dropped because we're all using different stuff. It wasn't the same. You know what I mean? Like us, because I had
yeah, I
all the
get you.
equipment at my house.
Yep.
Like our energy just wasn't the same because we weren't all in the same room. Like it just and it sucked, man. And what's really bad about it is we did 2 seasons of that podcast. We finished the first season completely, and we got about 3/4 of the way through the second season, and then COVID hit. And so there's like we only need like 10 more episodes to finish that last season. We just never gotten around to it because after
Life's
getting
moved on
together
since
and
then. Yeah.
yeah, life moved on since then. Like during COVID, Cameron and Greg, who were 2 cast members, they both had babies. Like, so they
How
got
selfish.
extreme. Yeah,
How they're just always thinking about
they
themselves,
got
having kids.
they got extremely busy, and I'm just like, nah, they got life to take care of. They got family to take
Yeah.
care of. Like, I'm not going to stress them out with, hey, we got to finish
Yeah.
this fucking D&D podcast that we
One of
started.
my
Like they got families,
one
man.
of the games that I was running once had me and 4 players, and 2 of the players who were together broke up. One of them started suffering some real mental health problems, and one of them had a baby and moved away. And then that was the same time that I was going through some real life changes myself as well, discovering things about myself and really working. And so it was like every one of us had something going on, and it was just like, hey guys, I don't think this game is going to play anymore. I think we got to be honest.
Yeah.
The entire world is telling us there's too much going on for this particular group to really ever meet again. Which is a real shame because I was really excited about where I was taking that story as a whole. But I mean, all of my campaigns are always set in the same world, so like that story can still be there for somebody else to pick up at some point, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that kind of sucked that it fell apart like that. COVID kind of shot it, which
Yeah.
was very disappointing. But we still had a lot of fun. But it did really help kickstart what we have for like the Cantrip Cast. You know what I have now.
Yeah.
Like it was a big like kickstart for that because that's when we started growing the community. Like the YouTube channel kicked off from there like a little bit. And you know, if it wasn't for the podcast, I wouldn't have started my TikTok to promote the podcast and like continue to delve into everything that I've done recently. You know.
So the order of things was the Weekend Trip podcast, and then from there
Yep.
the YouTube channel Cantrip Cast, and then from
Yes.
that was Brandon the DM on TikTok to promote the YouTube.
Yes. Yes.
And so what was on the YouTube in the early days? What was the YouTube for?
In the early days, I mean, kind of similar to what we have now. Just like, I mean, I'll pull it up right now. It was just like skits and just goofy kind of like how-to videos or, you know, discussion videos. You know, pretty much the same thing that we did years ago. Same thing now. You know, skits, actual play stuff.
So you did
making
so
monsters.
so you say the Weekend Trip podcast wasn't really actual play stuff, but when was the first time you delved into actual play then?
Twitch. I did Twitch. Yeah, Twitch. Was
And that came around the same time as the YouTube? Were you kind of just branching
Twitch
out
came
to all
around the same
platforms?
time as Twitch came around the same time as YouTube and TikTok. You know,
Yeah.
it just kind of like right around the same area. And we did an actual play on Twitch for a while. It was more like one shots we did for like a while,
Yeah, right.
just kind of like a bunch of one shots and like mini
Usually
4 hour
with the same
campaigns and like.
Same
Yeah,
players?
usually. Yeah, usually same people, sometimes different, mix it up. A lot of Patreon one shots for some supporters, all that kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
So, but then we started doing like our first like big actual play was Secrets of Alteran. That was like a 50 episode podcast we did, and that was an actual play, and it was good. It was fun. What killed me though was the entire thing was pre-recorded. Like we would pre-record it all, and then I'd
right.
edit it all, and then I post it. And while the production quality was great because you know I could take a lot of time to put in the right music cues, the audio cues,
Yes, got it.
visual effects, and all that, I was ready to bash my head off of a brick wall because I was so fucking busy all the time
Yeah.
with all this editing.
Editing,
But it was
man.
good. It was fun. From Secrets of Alteran, I'm just kind of going through timeline here.
I
we
actually
did-
watched the first episode of that. Secrets.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, we did Secrets of Alteran.
I was making sure I was caught up on all the stuff that you'd done, so I was like, I can't just be talking to this guy and not know the stuff he's actually done. So I went and watched it today, and then I got to the end of the first episode and was like, that's awesome. And then, when was that posted? And I looked at it, I was like, oh, this was one of their early ones. Let's see what he's done
this
more
was like-
recently. And then I looked at the quest.
We
line.
did after the Secrets of Alteran, we did a little, or like in the middle of that, we did like a little Star Wars thing. That was just like a little couple episodes long with some of the same people. It was like a little like 7-8 episode kind of mini campaign. What else did we do after that? Going into that, because I put everything on our YouTube too. So Helen Haxos was a 4-part series that I did. It was basically like Suicide Squad, but D&D. It's essentially like what I did. And this is like when we did Helen Haxos, that's when I realized like, wait a minute, like I love doing full campaigns, but I really like doing like mini 4-part series.
Yes.
I don't know why. I
Yeah, that's
really
where
like
the-
those.
That's where my gem is as well.
And where Helen Haxos came from is, you know, in between Secrets of Alteran and Helen Haxos, we did you know, I did Red Nose Day, rolling for Red Nose Day with you know, the players from the Browns like Johnny Miles and you know, Garrett and all them. It was fun. It was a blast. And that's when me and Johnny met. I mean, him talking everything, and he did a 4-part series with us called Helen Haxos. It was just D&D Suicide Squad. I was like, wait a minute, I can still do a story that's pre-recorded, so I can like, you know, add like the production value, the effects, the music, and everything to make it like look as good and sound as good as I want to, without the stress of it being 50 episodes.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That
I
was a lot
think
of fun.
3 or 4 episodes, you've hit it on the head. Like I got sick of doing one shots after maybe 2 years of streaming or so, and I'd be on other people's channels and we'd appearances here and there doing one shots. And unless it's like a 1 page RPG, which are designed to be one shots, it's
Yeah.
just not. You don't have enough time to sink your teeth into a whole character. You've made an entire character sheet, and half the stuff you're not
Yeah.
going to use in a one shot, and you're not going to get time to like shine and have any kind of character arc, any progression. I don't know how they do it in a 2 hour movie, to be honest, but
No, I
yeah,
have
in
no
like
idea,
4 hour game it doesn't work. But in a three episode, I think works really well as well because you get beginning, middle, end to the actual story as well, and like a 3 act structure.
Yes,
In the three
and I
episodes.
think my favorite one that I've done so far, probably one of my favorite stories, period, is probably we did a 4-part series called Gamma Rangers.
Yeah,
This was earlier this year. It was Power Rangers. It was
yeah,
three
Power Ranger
players,
theme.
and it was like a more mature themed Power Rangers mini arc. Where like in the world the Power Rangers had lost, they were all dead, and these 3 remaining Rangers had to help save the world, and bring back like the rebellion and stuff. It was like a big I'm a big Power Rangers fan. Like that's like another one of my secret kind of
Right, yeah.
like passions. I actually have all the Power Rangers RPG books, and I
Go
got
go
like one of the
Power
ones early at Gen
Rangers.
Con and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And we did it was called Gamma Rangers, and it was a blast, and people loved it to so much to the point where like they want us to bring it back for like another 4-part series because it
Nice.
was just something different. It was good. And then we
Something
move on
something
to
you'd consider at some point. You
what's
enjoyed it
that?
enough that you would consider bringing it back or no?
Oh yeah, we've already talked about it a little bit. Whether we want to bring back like the same cast and do like the same 4 people, or if we want to do like another story in that same world. You know what I mean?
That
Because the thing
was
with the four, good.
no, you gone.
I was gonna say the thing with the 4-part series is I kind of like leaving them where they are. Like I
Yeah,
want to leave a lot of stuff to like audience interpretation of like this is
yeah,
the story, this is what you have,
yeah. And if you bring
make
it
of it what
back,
you
like
wish.
bring it back in the same genre, the same world, but have different
Yeah,
different
but
story,
this
different
this is a
characters.
new
Yeah,
story. Yeah, this is
yeah,
a same
exactly.
world, new story. Like the story of those characters is done. It's put in the past. They're completed. Because we ended that on a very very good note. Like it was just like the perfect ending to like what that story would be, and I don't want to force it into something it shouldn't be
I
when I
think
could just make a whole new
exactly.
story.
Yeah, I think sequels work best when you have designed them as sequels right from the start. You knew during the first one that you're going to have a sequel to it. Like if
Yeah.
you like sequels fail hardest when it is a perfect standalone film that just happens to do well
Yes.
enough that people go, "Oh, well, let's do a second one then." Well, no, because you wrapped up the story. And by definition,
Yes.
it was such a good story because it was self-contained.
Yes, and that's why,
Yeah.
people ask me all the time, like, when's Gamma Rangers coming back for part two? And I'm just like, if Gamma Rangers comes back for part two, it's not going to be the same 3 Rangers. It's
Yeah.
going to be
Spiritual successor.
different people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like a spiritual successor, because like it was such a fun story. I'm not sure how much you know about Power Rangers or like, everything like any kind of like Power Rangers lore that you might know.
Used to watch it a lot
But
when I was a kid. I had 2 older brothers and 2 female cousins, and it was early days before even the Green and White Ranger was introduced. And so
okay.
one of my brothers took the Red Ranger, one was the Blue Ranger, one of my female cousins was the Yellow Ranger, and the other one was the Pink Ranger, which left me as
Okay.
the Black Ranger. And then we had all 5 of them, and we
Yeah.
used to play around pretending to be Power
So
Rangers.
I'll keep it really, really like TLDR for you. The Green Ranger, one of my favorite Rangers, period. So is the White Ranger, same Ranger, Tommy Oliver, whatever.
Yeah.
In the current day comics, there is an arc called the Lord Draken arc, where there's like in a different parallel universe, like there's this guy named Lord Draken who is like an alternate version of Tommy, is actually bad and evil and goes on like an
Right.
evil rampage, like trying to kill the Rangers and stuff. So I took like it's like a really popular thing. People love it, and so I took like kind of like that arc and made it my like own thing in like a modern day kind of like setting of
Right,
like
nice.
Angel Grove, and that's what the players had to go against and like stop him from like whatever. So by the end of the final episode, they stopped his evil plan. He got launched into space, like in Power Rangers fashion, or like sent to the bottom of the ocean, whatever happened, at the end of that. And that was that. And like I left it up for our audience interpretation. He might be back, he might not.
Yeah, got it.
It was such a good send off for all the characters, a good story. I'm just like I just want to leave it how it is.
Just leave
It was
Leave
good.
things.
Just leave
and,
it. Don't touch
and
it.
it's one of the things that I think a British TV does really well compared to American TV. American TV will usually go like, here's a cool thing that's doing really well with the pilot and whatever, so let's give them 20-some episodes in a season, and then they'll get to the end of the season and be like, here's another season and another season and
Yeah.
another season, and you'll get to the end of something and go, this is unrecognizable as the same thing. And on the rare occasion, sometimes it works out all the way through, and like what it changes into is still amazing.
Yeah.
The Office was a good example of that. It changed so much from what it was originally, and it ended up being
Yeah.
really good. Parks and Rec, another one that was like it changed over time and still was something good. But the British way of doing things, like Faulty Towers and stuff like that, is just like, here are 6 incredible episodes of something, and that's it. If you get a second season, you get a second, and that's it. Never a third. You don't get more and more and more. We don't milk things till it's dead. And
there
then,
are some times where like
and then sometimes
I'll
it's
watch.
like, oh, but the people are crying for it, so let's do a third season, and then they do, and it's crap, and you're like, well, now you're gonna be tainted. Just leave something pleasant in your nostalgia, and don't bring it back and ruin things.
Yeah, there's shows that I watch all the time where I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, I've been on both ends of like kind of what you said, where it's like, oh, sometimes an extra season is the best thing ever because like it really sticks to it or it's better. Or sometimes an extra season they shouldn't have fucking done it.
Should never come back with it. Yeah.
Why did they do this? There's a show called Ragnarok that I was watching on Netflix. It's a Norwegian show. The third season just came out, and I loved the first 2 seasons. And the third season came out like a week or 2 ago, give or take, and I finished it. It was only like 6 episodes. The ending has me. I'm not going to say what happened because it just came out. I know some people like are watching it. The ending has me so conflicted. I don't know how to feel, and I'm just like,
it's not as bad as Game of Thrones.
It needed that third season. It needed the third season to conclude what happened in the second season. Like it just needed it.
Yeah.
But the third season is just like, why would they do it? And like, what? Yeah. Like, part of me is like, I get it. That's cool. The symbolism, the message. I gotta say that. I get it. It makes sense. But satisfying for the viewer? I don't know.
When I was watching Lost, I was watching it when it was coming out. And I really loved it, and then like I fell behind, stopped watching it for years. Eventually, I was like, "Oh, I should rewatch Lost. I should actually. I was really enjoying it." And so I watched it, and people were like, "Don't bother. Where did you get up to?" And I was like, "I think I got to like the end of season 3 of 6," and they were like, "Perfect, leave it there. Don't watch it." I was like, I gotta finish it though. Gotta finish it. So I eventually ignored everybody's advice and watched seasons 4 through 6, and I was just like, "Oh no." Oh no!
Shouldn't have done that. Yeah,
shouldn't have watched.
I was a big Lost fan at first too, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Up to season 3, fantastic. Season 4, they introduced time travel. It's like no. And so
same
when
with The Walking Dead for me.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it came to watching Dexter, I was like, I've always been interested in watching Dexter, and I'd heard enough rumors of people being like it gets crap later seasons. So I just looked up on the internet like what seasons of Dexter are good, and they're like season 4's the best season, so stop after that. So I watched up to season 4 and ended it, and was like, I'm just gonna pretend like that's the end, and I'm gonna. Well,
Dexter came back, didn't it? I'm pretty sure Dexter made a new season.
Yeah, they made a new season of it as well with a different character or something. I never watched it, but yeah, I watched up to season 4. People said it's a good place to leave it. So now I take people's advice into account when people say watch up to this and then stop. And same for Game of Thrones. Like I wish people had told me, hey, stop after season 6.
I have never watched Game of Thrones. As big of a D&D and TTRPG nerd that I am, I have not watched Game of Thrones. Yep.
Well, if you ever do, stop after season 6.
I heard the ending was shit. That's all. I was told.
Season 8 was like half the number of episodes as every other season. The writers were writing for Star Wars at the time, and it was clear in every episode they could not care less about finishing the story that they'd been setting up for 8 seasons.
Gotcha.
It was rushed.
Well,
it was like really unsatisfying. All the characters character arcs that had been going on this beautifully satisfying journey just went boop and went back to the start. Things like that. Yeah, everybody hated season 8. Anyway, enough about that.
Yeah, so derailing into nonsense.
So with the Cantrip casts, YouTube, you kind of didn't have a set thing that you were on rail. Like you didn't give yourself like a pitch for like we have to do this kind of content and we can't stray from that. You were just like, let's do a bit of this and a bit of that and whatever we enjoy.
It was just like I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do, and that's that. It's just content creation for me has always been like, if it's fun, I'm going to keep doing it. If it starts stressing me out, I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
that makes sense.
That's what it is. And I'm like,
because
if I can't have fun while I'm doing
it. It's not your primary job, so like, why?
It's not. I've got a 9 to 5. I've got a career. I love my job. I love my wife. I've got a, I'm good to go.
You can disappear to put all of these other things above your content creation and just do the content creation you enjoy.
Now, this could all disappear tomorrow, and I'd be heartbroken. I'd be sad because I've put a lot of time into it, and I've had a lot of cool things happen, made a lot of memories. However, if it's stressing me out and I want to hang it up, yeah, well, I'm not having fun anymore, you know? So I'm just like, I'm
I've
gonna post
always
when I
lived
want,
life.
what I want for the fun of it, you know?
Yeah, I've always lived life in the same way. Like I've had jobs where I'm like, you need me more than I need you, and if I don't enjoy this job anymore, I'm leaving. And
Yep.
I've been lucky or privileged enough to be in that position and been like, I'm not frivolous with my spending, so I always make sure I've got enough savings to do that. Even if content
Yep.
creation was the same, if I stopped
Yeah.
enjoying doing this, I'd just stop doing it. I'm
Yeah.
not
Now
gonna
I
not gonna
do.
not gonna go bankrupt. I can go get a job at a supermarket. It doesn't
Yep.
it doesn't matter to me. So I'll always pursue what I want to be enjoying and what I want to be pursuing first.
Now I do very much run the Cantrip Cast like a business because it is a business.
Hmm.
If you're running content creation and to a certain point or level, like you have to run some of it like a business. Like we published 2 books, with Kickstarters and stuff, and
Yeah.
we were at Gen Con and all that. So we very much do have like the business end of things that we run it as, like with the community and the website and books and all that kind of stuff. But as for like the content end of things and like what I want to post for content, like that stuff's for fun. Like the books and all that is very much business and like selling and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's very much a business end of things. But if I want to post something as a video for the fun of it posting a video, I'm gonna post it because I want to have fun as a video, not because I feel obligated to do it for business
Yeah, that
reasons.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
who is the Cantrip Cast as a business? Like, how big is the business?
It's me and another person.
Yeah.
It's me and my friend Christian, who has been like my right hand man in this for years now. So
And
I'm definitely the
what point did Christian
good.
get on board?
Oh god, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, give or take.
Because you needed
Um,
like somebody to branch out to and be
we
like,
just
hey, I
kind of
need
like
somebody else.
naturally became like really, really good friends. We met on Rocket League about about
Nice.
6 years ago, and he ended up being one of the like best men, I guess you could say, like groomsmen, best men. At my wedding was a little untraditional, where we just kind of have like friends come. Like we had
Nice.
like in the wedding party, there was only like family, but as for like my best men or best friends that were there by my side the entire time, like actually doing stuff.
Yeah.
He was one of them. He was pretty much like my best man at the wedding.
Nice.
Um, and we met on Rocket League. The first time we met in person was the week of my wedding. He came up like I was stressed out about stuff, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm coming to your house." And I was like, "You live 10 hours away." He's like, "My wife and I are taking off work and coming up for the week." And I'm like, "This is gonna be weird." Shows up at my house, in fucking pajama pants and a t-shirt with a drink in his hand. He's like, "What's up, buddy?" We were best. That was that.
That's
We've
amazing,
been
man.
best friends since, and like, we just kind of naturally kind of fell into that department together, and we started taking things more seriously, like doing content and stuff together. So,
Hmm.
so yeah, that is the business. So
And so
yeah.
you were running. So the Cantrip Cast YouTube was taking off at the same time as the TikTok because of the TikTok, or did you find that it's been experiencing its own growth regardless?
Well, the Cantorcast YouTube wasn't really taking off at all
Ah,
until maybe like a year ago, honestly.
all right.
I think we only had like 1 or 2 thousand subscribers up until like a year and a half ago. And then all of a sudden, Dungeon Master Therapy, the infamous skit series I do, took off and just blew everything up.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how long were you doing Dungeon Master Therapy before it took off? Was it like episode 1, or was it like you'd been putting it out a
Dude,
while? And then...
I posted the first Dungeon Master Therapy skit, and I can tell you right now when I posted it. Because it is. Where's it at? If I go to my pin videos on TikTok. All right, the one that blew up, the biggest one I posted is Dungeon Master Therapy Part 3, the part with the nuclear bomb. I posted that on October 17th of 2021, so maybe like 2 weeks before that, or a couple days before that, I did like the first two. And as soon as I posted the first one, I was like, okay, I think I have something here, because it got like 120, 200,000 views. I'm like, okay. Did part 2, and I'm like, got like a 500,000 views, and I'm like, I got something here. I did part 3, and it's got like 8 million views, and just started just blop, blowing everything up. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, this is what we're
me
doing.
forever now.
This is what we're doing. So I post those all the time on TikTok, and then like I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try YouTube Shorts. And then I did, and like I was actually posting the DM therapies on YouTube Shorts for like a couple months, and they just weren't doing well.
Right.
Like they weren't getting views, they weren't getting like nothing, like nothing. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's just good for TikTok, maybe it's not good for YouTube, because like two different app platforms,
completely
two different
different
audiences,
audiences.
whatever. That's fine. I'll keep posting them though, because fuck it, if I'm gonna post my content one place, might as well post it
Yeah.
another. Out of nowhere, and I mean, I wake up one morning And I'm just like, where the fuck did I get 30,000 subscribers from? And I look, and immediately all my DM therapies from the past like 4 months I posted just started taking off.
All right.
And they just, every time I post a DM therapy, just plop,
Jeez.
it just takes off. And I'm like, okay. So I have said the phrase between videos and conventions and everything else. I probably said, "Welcome to Dungeon Master Therapy. How can I help you today?" Probably at least a million times.
Jesus. Do
God.
you at what point do you start to regret saying it, or wish that you'd come up with a different phrase that was snippier? Or
I don't know if I really regret that phrase at all because like it's a pretty catchy
it's
phrase.
very
It
iconic.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
like people like it's like definitely like my iconic phrase that I'm kind of happy that like I've kind of like came up with. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
people see
you
me,
need
they're
to
just
be
like,
yeah, you need to be something that's where it's like, oh, it's the Dungeon Master Therapy guy. Like
yes, that's
something where they
literally
can
what people say.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So people like, which has helped in turn pull people into the Cantrip cast and everything else that I do because it's like, especially at like Gen Con and stuff, conventions and everything. Like, you're the DM therapy guy. Like, why are you here? And I was like, I own a business. Like, check out our books. You
Check
like
this
DM
out. Check
therapy? You're
this
gonna
out.
love
Check
this
this out.
shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So when I think about it, you know, and I've talked to like friends like mutual friends we have like Duke and everybody about like
Yeah.
content and everything, and you know we realized part of the reason that DM therapy works is because of just like how quick and snippy it was off the rip, where it's like, welcome to Dungeon Master Therapy. How can I help you today? Cut to person, insert problem, back to DM therapist. Oh my God, you're stupid.
Yeah.
And that is just like rinse, wash, repeat. Rinse,
Yeah.
wash, repeat. Like the formula is so simple, but also so catchy that like people hear
And
welcome to Dungeon Master
uh,
Therapy, they know what they're getting
yeah.
immediately.
And they and relatively easy to edit together, I imagine as well. Like and film.
I
Just
have
like
made
you shoot this angle, you
95%
shoot that angle.
95% of the DM therapies I've made have been just right here on my phone. That
Yeah.
has been it. Like I've done a couple. Like it's funny too because it's like the more simple I make them, the better they do, the bigger they get, and just the more people like them. Because I've tried doing them where I've used my actual like DSLR cameras instead of my tripod and my lights,
Right.
and like done like the angles and like the zoom in effects and all that kind of like music, blah, explosion, Michael Bay, blah. You know, I've
Yeah.
tried all of that. It just doesn't go as well. But if I pull up my fucking phone and make a TikTok and just do this and then this a couple times and then post it on both platforms, blows up. The simplicity
It's
of it, so
definitely
weird.
a trend that I'm noticing. The majority of TikToks and Insta Reels and YouTube Shorts that were shown are somebody walking along their own bouncy phone, just they're just talking to the front-facing camera of the. That's it. There's no
Hmm.
production quality. And I wonder if it's to do with. I heard somebody talking about it. Was it DM Dave? I think it was Dave from Careful Cantrip. He was saying like, if you're focused on production quality for the thing that you're putting out, and he was talking in the context of actual players, but I think it applies. He says if you're focused on production quality, then you're competing with things with a better production quality. Like that's not the reason people watch TikToks and
Yeah,
Insta Reels and actual plays. Like you'd be competing with HBO. Like if they're there
yeah,
for production quality, well written something and well produced and well lit and well acted and whatever, then they go and watch an actual show.
hmm,
But if they're watching your content, they're watching for something else. They want to feel a little
yeah,
bit more personal to the person that's putting the content out.
yeah.
Does that lend itself though to like a more there's more chance of parasocial relationships because people feel like you're just sending them a clip of yourself and it isn't produced and stuff.
That it is. It's been a weird balance of that, honestly.
Mm,
Where I'm a very comfortable person with talking to like I'll talk to anybody. Like I'm
mm,
very very social. Like somebody walks up to me at Gen Con, and that's just like the main example I use because it's probably the most popular one
yeah.
of like thousands of people are there that know me, just from the internet. And they know me from like my videos and seeing my face online. And it's kind of crazy to think about that for a second. Just like let that sink in. Like, oh my God, literally thousands of people here know who I am because of my videos.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable with speaking to them because like I kind of asked for this and I kind of wanted it. Not gonna lie. I'd be lying if I said like this isn't what I wanted. Like, I did. Like this is cool.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very comfortable with speaking openly to people and like shaking hands and taking pictures. But sometimes there have been some instances where people have gotten a little too comfortable, and like asked like personal questions and
Mm,
like wanted to get a little too touchy feely here and there, like
Right.
like pulling me in too close for a picture and just like
Yeah.
like nudging me like, a little too comfortable, like acting
Yeah.
like we're like really close friends and stuff. And like I'm very good at like kind of setting that hard line boundary of like,
Hmm.
hey man, we got to move this along, I got to go, or like, hey, I'm getting a little comfortable here. Like I try to make it like I don't want to push somebody away because they're excited to meet me,
Yeah.
or make them feel like I don't want anything to do with them. But sometimes there definitely are like the weird parasocial like boundaries that are crossed sometimes because people feel like oh, they know me because they've seen a video of me, but the person 6 inches from your face on a screen.
Yeah.
You don't know me. I'd be happy to let you get to know me. Come by my booth or shoot me a message. Let's chat. I'll talk
Hmm.
with anybody. Come on my stream. We'll talk. However, there's way more to me than to know than there is just from like a 45-second TikTok or YouTube short.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That's something I had to learn about real early on, is when I
Hmm.
started streaming and started having, because when you're creating something for something like YouTube, like the people who are loving your content is not necessarily interacting with you directly, but when you're
Yeah.
streaming and they're seeing you live and you're talking to them, they're seeing you and hearing your voice and seeing your face every day for hours, and also you're interacting with them.
Mhm.
You're reading out their names and stuff, and so from that side of things, it can train the brain into thinking this is a friend of mine. But then from my
Yes.
side of things, I'm seeing a name on a screen. Like I don't even know your gender. I don't know what. I don't know anything. I
Yeah.
don't know
Like
your
I'm
nationality. I
seeing
don't
you
know
for
where
the
in the
first
in the
time.
world you are.
I had a couple, and I felt really bad about it because like I do my best to try to like get to know people the best I can and like really
Hmm.
build a community and engage with
Yeah.
people. And I've had people come up to me like at conventions and different things and tell me like, "Hey man, it's so and so from the Discord or it's so and
Hmm.
so from
Hmm.
TikTok." And I'm just like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know who you were. This is my first time ever seeing your face.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know
Exactly.
you from your username. That's about it."
And
Like,
that's even if they volunteer their username. Like the
yeah,
number of times I've met people in person that go, "Oh hey, really good to finally meet you," and I'm like, kind of
yeah, you
waiting for them
too.
to
Yeah,
go,
like,
and you and then
yeah,
usually they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so and so from the Twitch streams," and I'll be like, "Oh, I know your username. You're in every one of my streams." Start with
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I've
Mhm.
never seen you before. This I don't
I
have
don't
a
know who you are.
clue
Yeah.
who you are.
A lot of
It's
people, but I don't know, I try not to fault people too much because I get where that can come from, because like it is confusing sometimes, or it does, like,
mm,
you don't sometimes you just don't think about that stuff, like
yeah.
you think you know this person, or like
Mm,
because you've interacted. I've been in that mistake before too, where like I'd be lying if I said I haven't done that. I'm just like, hey, it's so and so, and they're just like, and you are, I'm like, I'm Brandon, they're like, oh, okay, cool, and I'm like, fuck, that was awkward of me, why'd I do
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Damn it.
I did that. I did
Yeah.
that at Gen Con just this year. I went up to the dungeon dudes, and I was like, "Hey, really, just finally great to finally meet you," sort of thing. And I made the mistake of just thinking that they would know who I was because they joined that Gen Con server that I set up for
Yeah.
all the creators. I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, yeah, but there was a lot of people on that server, so they probably didn't know who the fuck I was."
Yeah.
And I just felt
That
awkward
the same thing
leaving.
happened here. I forget who it was. There was somebody. I know who it is. I don't want to bring up names though because I don't
Hmm.
like disclosing whatever. But somebody in the same server, they came up to me and they were just like at my booth, and they were like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm good. How are you?" They're like, "I don't have much. Want to come by and see your booth?" And I'm just like, "Cool, cool. Who are you?"
Who are
They're
you?
just like, "Oh, I'm so and so," and I'm
So and
like,
so from the server.
"Fuck, I didn't,
I
I didn't know." And we
can't
chatted for
possibly
like
be
20 minutes.
taking on everybody's stuff. Man, the thing that really just highlighted me more than ever when I created that Gen Con server, and there was like, by the end of it, there was like 60 people on there, was that I was like, man, there's too many people on here. Some randoms are joining, and then I'd look up those quote unquote randoms and be like, no, they've got a channel. They're creating stuff. They have just as much right to be here as anybody else that's on. That's on. Like, who am I to be like, well, I've got to set this as a strict limit of like follow count or whatever? Because some people would have, a couple of dozen
Yeah,
on YouTube, but they'd have thousands on TikTok, or they'd have
and other stuff.
so
Yeah.
many on Instagram or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I'd end up looking them up and going, this is the first time I've ever even heard of you, and
Heard of
yet
this person. Yeah.
and the as niche as it is, you think that content creation is relatively large industry, but like Dungeons and Dragons specific content creation, you'd think to be quite a niche thing, but no, there's hundreds of thousands of people making stuff
Yeah,
all over
you
the
think
place.
you think you know and met everybody that's in the game until you
Yeah,
realize you don't know or haven't
you
met
don't know
everybody in the
anybody.
game.
You don't know
Yeah.
anybody. Yeah, it's been fun though, and it was a fantastic experience. Do you enjoy Gen Con this year? I know it was real difficult
Oh
for
yeah,
you
I had a
with
blast. You
your
know,
own
I
booth.
got. I was very messed up by the end of it.
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't know the story or hasn't heard it yet, I went along to a panel that was going to be a, was it Pathfinder or D&D? It was D&D, wasn't it? It was D&D with the
It was
Dingo Doodles, and Pathfinder was the day before. It was a D&D
Pathfinder. Pathfinder was
game.
the day before. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it
It
was
was
a
a D and
D&D
D
game
game.
with Dead as a Gamer running it. Dingo Doodles was on it. I think One Shot Questers was on it. Careful Cantrip was on it.
Careful cantrip. Yep.
Something like that. And Brendan was on it, and I went along to just
Yeah.
watch it. And then I made some sort of tongue-in-cheek joke to them because I'd met all these guys over the last few days. I made some tongue-in-cheek joke of like, "Oh, I forgot my character sheet, so I'm just going to sit in the audience and heckle you instead." And then Dag walks over to me. This is before they start the whole thing, and he goes, "Do you actually want to play?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to play. What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Give me a second." And he walks over.
Good.
And
Brandon's dying.
Yeah, he pulls Brandon aside, and then he comes back and goes, "Check your Discord," and walks back to his desk to
I sent you a character sheet that I made on the fly.
You made a character sheet and sent it to me with no context, and Dag hadn't given me any context, and you understandably thought Dag would have explained the situation to me, but Dag is not like that, so just hadn't told me anything, and so I had to say to you, "What? Why are you sending me a character sheet? What is going on?" You were like, "Oh,
See,
I'm
I
dying."
didn't know that. I thought Dag told you. Like, I was literally dying. Like, I felt, for people that want to know, Gen Con, we had our booth. The Cantrip Cast had a booth. We have two books we've made: the Codex of Quest and Benji's Guide to Rentucky Island. They're two 5e books. Fun little books. We had a blast making them. And this is our second year Gen Con. Every year the booth fucking sucks. Like, running a booth sucks, guys. Like, it's not a fun job. Especially when you're a small company and there's just like two of you in the company.
Two
We
of
had
you
people that
for all
helped us.
day.
Yeah.
And if either of you
We had
goes to the
people that helped
bathroom,
us.
well, now I'm
Yeah.
on my own at the booth. Yeah.
And we had people help us combine everything. But the problem is, I guess, with me being like the face of everything is,
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said, like, I know.
Yeah, if people come to the Cantrip Cast, they expect to see you there.
They expect to see me, or it's like they know, like, I'm probably going to sell books there because of, like, it's me,
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm there all day, constantly talking, constantly speaking, saying, "Welcome to Dungeon Master Therapy. Oh, yeah, I'm the guy. Let's take a picture. Let's do this. Here's the books. Here's the pitch, blah, blah, blah." By day 3, I'm just like,
Babe, please buy my book.
but, like, talking to, like, all these people, like, barely getting any sleep, eating sporadically, like, stepping outside to smoke or vape vape, like, every fucking, maybe once every 4 hours, just to, like, breathe for a second.
This was the end of the Sunday, I think. So this is the end of day 4.
It was Saturday. It was Saturday night.
Saturday. Was the end of day 3. So it's Saturday
but the
night.
thing is, I was there since Wednesday morning setting up.
Just
So, like,
exhausted. And so you were like, "Oh yeah, I thought Dag would have told you. I'm dying," and so I've asked Dag if he can just kill off my character early so I can go home and take medicine and sleep.
yeah, that's what I did. I was like, I walked in, they looked at me like, "Brandon, you look like shit." I'm like, "I feel like shit." Like, I am tired. My voice is absolutely gone. I'm really sniffly because I've just been like just nonstop for 5 days now.
Yeah.
Constantly talking, selling things, taking pictures, doing pitches, part of events, walking around, driving around, taking care of the Airbnb, paying for a bunch of stuff, everything.
Yeah.
By the time like Saturday night came around, I was like, "Oh, I'm dying. Like, this is, I shouldn't be here right now. I need to go to bed." So I walked in. I'm like, "Hey, can you just make my character like explode or something stupid?" And he's like, "Yeah, are you good?" And I was like, "Yeah, this." And they were like, "Yeah, we got you." So luckily you were there, and that's why I sent you.
And you sent me a character sheet, and I was like, "Okay, I'll be his brother. I'll come in as his brother or something." So I was watching your mannerisms and being like, "You were some. It was one of these stupid, fucking ridiculous. Like, you were Pancake McFlippy face or something." And
Chuck was Wilhelm McPanflop. Yeah,
Wilhelm McPanflop, his one thing was he carried around a portable stove to cook pancakes on. So as soon as you died, I'd loaded up the Wilhelm Scream, and I played Wilhelm Scream, and I was like, "No, Wilhelm!" And then Dag, sorry, he was like, he described the mass of body parts that was you amalgamating into this hideous monster, just to call me a hideous monster. And then I came up and sat next to the rest of them and got to play D&D with the Dingo Doodles crew, which was amazing.
Yeah, it was really funny because I sat down and like I was so tapped out just in general. Like, I never made a character for that until I sat down. I remember Dave was sitting next to me. He looked at me. I was on my phone just like doing one of these, making a quick random. I went to like quick
Character
character 5e or
generated.
something. Yeah, something like that. I'm just like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. All right, click. And Dave looks at me. He's like, "Are you just now making your character?" And I'm like, "Maybe." And he goes, "I fucking love you."
I came up as Wilhelm Panflop, and I was all about waffles rather than pancakes. And
Okay.
at one point towards the end of the session, there was a helicopter that was attacking us like SWAT team style, and I flipped a waffle up into its rotor blades and managed to crash the helicopter from it. That's the sort of game
Nice.
we were playing.
Yeah.
So
It was
aside
fun.
from that, you had a great time at Gen Con.
I did. Yeah, the Pathfinder game we played in was fun too because we did play
Yeah,
Pathfinder together. Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
I forget what I played for that one. I played a Bard, I think, for that. I don't remember.
You were a Sharky. You were a Shark boy or something, weren't you?
I was a little shark boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I played Brody. That's right. He was a bard. Yeah, because he was angry and turned to music. That's right. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, because you were like a retired barbarian or something.
Yeah, he
Taking
got
up
sick of
music
being angry.
instead.
He went to therapy and picked up music as a coping skill. And
Just injecting therapy into everything you do because people are
yeah,
expecting it from you now.
I'm telling you, man, it's weird how that works. It just everything comes full circle eventually. So
Gotta write what you know. So,
Yep.
so in the time that you experienced this huge growth from Dungeon Master Therapy and this huge demand for Dungeon Master Therapy, does it put you
Yeah.
off making other stuff because it doesn't ever do as well as the Dungeon Master Therapy? Or...
I wish I could say no to that, but yeah,
Yeah.
I wish because there's days
There's
where
only
I'm
so
just
much
like
time you
this.
can put into making stuff, right? And if you're
Yeah,
like,
there's
I could make this or I could make another Dungeon Master Therapy.
I'm like, yeah, there's days where I'm just like, this would be a good video idea, but I know it's not gonna go as well as this, like, and it's like I try other things and I'm just like, this isn't going. Fuck, man.
I saw one of the Dungeon Master Therapies ends with you saying, like you and the therapist and the patient like having an argument by the end of it, and the patient says something like, "Yeah, well, maybe if you had better ideas, you wouldn't have to keep doing Dungeon Master Therapy."
I've made that joke a couple times before. I have, I have to have fun with it. I still try to find ways to have fun with it, even if like I'm feeling burnt out of it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'll make the jab inside the video of
Yeah.
like I'm just tired. You're so tired because you're always doing these fucking videos. It's like it's the only thing that does good. Well, maybe you should be more creative, like that kind of stuff. I've
Right,
done
yeah.
one like that before. Because I mean, like I'm not gonna lie. I again, it circles back to me saying like, if I'm not having fun with it, I'm not gonna do it. So like, sure, I'm gonna take a jab at myself because that's gonna be funny. But like, yeah, there are days where I'm just like, man, I put a lot of time and effort into this video and it did shit. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's discouraging. But I know as soon as I pull up a camera and say, "Welcome to Dungeon Master Therapy. How can I dance like a monkey for you today?" It's gonna get
Yeah.
fucking 10,000 clicks. So, which is
Yay,
cool.
content
Again, it's
creation.
like one of those things where like I asked for this, I'm fine with this. It's really fucking cool. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool that I was able to come up with like just like a little skit off the fly, and like it wasn't even. I wouldn't even say like off the fly. I mean like I was just scrolling through TikTok and like shorts and stuff like I don't know forever ago, and like I'm a therapist, right? Therapist in training. I'm technically a mental health professional, blah, 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 blah. I don't have my license yet. Long story short, that's what I'm working on right now. Get my master's degree. Long story short, I watch a lot of like therapy-esque videos. And I saw people doing like therapy skits, just like, like, oh, when your therapist says this, or like,
Yeah.
like, oh, haha, joke therapy sessions, like that kind of stuff, there's people I just saw those and I was like, I could do that with D&D. Like, that's my niche. Like, I do mental health work for a living and I do D&D. Why don't I do like D&D therapy type stuff, because I've seen people do skits for like, I don't know, all sorts of like, therapy skits for like just like whatever. I'm like, oh, I could do that. And then just happened to work. And worked out really well. So like, yes, I asked for this, where there are days where I'm just like, man, I had this really cool idea. It's too bad it's not gonna go well. Damn it.
It's just you just send it to one of your mates. Be like, hey, your stuff does well with this sort of content. Here's an idea. I just want to see this idea out there.
Will this idea work for you? Will it work better for you than it will for me?
Yeah. How about trying the Dungeon Master still Dungeon Master Therapy, but like, I don't know. I was trying to think how you'd branch out, like how you trick people into branching into allowing you to branch out by still having it Dungeon Master Therapy, but like making it longer form or something, or making it an actual therapist's office or something. But no, you said about like when you overproduce it, it doesn't do as well.
Yeah, I've tried overproducing it. I'm just like, it doesn't do as well.
The audience really just heard you into this, like the algorithm herds you into being like, no, you stay in your box.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, hundreds, thousands of dollars in studio lights, equipment, gear, camera, computers, fucking everything else I got over here. Now, what do I need? One Selly boy, and then I'm good. God. Piss me off. Just get angry now. God. Anyways. But no, we are trying some new content here soon. There was a skit series that I did about a year ago when the YouTube started taking off because of Dungeon Master Therapy. Because at the time I was like, cool, DM Therapy works for shorts. I got to figure out something for regular videos.
Yeah.
And I did this skit series called The Party, where it was like a simulated Zoom call, like a simulated I sent you one of the videos. Yeah, that for like if you want to be a part of one or whatever. A simulated like actual play, and it's only like a 3 to 4 minute video, if that, and it's just a skit, and they were doing really good, like 10, 20, 30,000 views. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I have something here. And then for some reason, I don't know what happened, I stopped making them. And I think a lot of it is because at the same time, that's when like my father-in-law got diagnosed with ALS, and like we were getting ready to move, and like I had all this going on, and like I got really busy, and all this stuff happened. And I'm just like, fuck. Those videos were fun to make. They were a lot of fun to make. I really liked them. I really enjoyed them. So we're kind of bringing those back. You know, I think I sent you, did I send you the script of the one past? I don't think I sent you the script.
You didn't send me the script. No, you just asked if I'd want to be in one, and I was like,
well,
yeah. Before I even saw what it was, you were like, do you want to be in the thing with me? And I was like, yes. I think I was out at a D&D game at the time, and they were just like role playing around a fire, and I was like, yeah, I'll be in that. I don't know what you're talking about, but sure, I'll be in that.
For those of you that are listening and are watching right now, there's a little skit series I'm doing that Robert is probably going to be a part of. It's a fun little goofy series. But no, I had a lot of fun doing that. I'm bringing it back because like that was one series where it's like it's not DM Therapy, but like it's also a really good idea because it's just like a quick little simulated like series of something. None of them relate to each other, but like I had a lot of fun doing that skit series. It just stopped doing it for whatever reason. And I was thinking back and I'm just like, what can I do to keep this interesting and not get bored? Oh, I should bring back The Party. I really should, because it was a fun series that I enjoyed making, enjoyed editing and everything. It was very simple. Because I was essentially thinking, like, what can I do that's longer form, like 3 to 5 minutes, that's also just as simple, that has the same simplified, like, kind of flair or simplicity to it that DM Therapy has, where it's just, like, the quick back and forth snappy stuff. And I'm like, let's try this. And I'm like, oh, this worked out well.
And unlike Dungeon Master Therapy, it's a really good... I mean, you could do it with Dungeon Master Therapy, but like it's a really good model for, or a vehicle for branching out to reach out to other creators, like for collaborations, like you did with me, and being like, there's a million different people you can reach out to and be like, you want to be in this skit, and the way that you've done it. One of the real selling points for me was like, hey, we don't have to actually even do anything, in like we don't even have to arrange a schedule together. Like I send you a script,
just send me the parts,
a green screen behind you, whatever. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, not even it could just be a background even. Yeah,
just turn on a webcam and record it. It'll take you 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all. That's all it is. That's what me and Dave did.
It's a good way to reach out to people and be like, hey, and then just like have a little crossover. The even longer form content than the actual play stuff. You stream to YouTube for the what is it? Something Webs.
Yeah, Mortal Webs. We were streaming to Twitch for a long time, but we ended up switching to YouTube just because like I'm a very busy person. With me about to pursue a master's degree and like my family, like my father having issues, blah blah blah. I needed to like really consolidate stuff to make it easier, and we've got the bigger following on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we just decided like let's just stream it to YouTube, because I'm not. As I know, we have an audience on Twitch, and we have for a while, but luckily, I think most of them came over to YouTube, or they were already watching our stuff on YouTube. They were, So when we switched to YouTube, most people were just like, "Okay, cool. Like we'll just watch there."
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And the nice thing about YouTube is when you post it live on YouTube, it just stays there. YouTube now has their own like section of lives where like it doesn't show up in your videos. They just stay there. And I'm like, ever since they added that, I was like, cool, we're just doing all YouTube. Fuck this. Like. I love Twitch. Twitch was cool. That's where I started streaming and stuff.
Drop out any of the different platforms, God, it'd be easy.
That was really it. It's just like I had to make my life like more simplified on that end of things because it was just becoming like really chaotic and stuff. So we just simplified it. Put it on YouTube.
It's only like 5 minutes to check this app, but it's like and then I check Instagram, then I check Twitter, then I check Threads.
Yeah,
then
and that just stacks
TikTok,
up.
Then I check Twitch, then I check. You got hours of your day.
It adds up.
Just catching up with all the notifications across the million different websites that there are.
Yeah, but our new campaign is called Mortal Webs. It's not actually D&D. It's actually a system called Quest.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I've watched the first 2 today.
Well, that's good. That's the only 2 we have right now because
I
posted a video about a couple weeks. I posted a video a couple weeks ago where pretty much I was very transparent. I like to be as transparent as I can with my audience and like people that I know. Like, listen,
It was really admirable. I started watching it. I was like, oh, he's being real, just open and honest about everything that's going
yeah,
on, which
like
is
guys,
really,
I'm busy. I'm tired.
yeah,
Like, if I post something, it's gonna be because it's sporadic and I have the time, not
yeah,
like because I don't know what each night's going to bring me, and for those either listening, my father-in-law, he was diagnosed with ALS about a year ago, and it's just kind of gotten like progressively harder since then
yeah,
because my wife and I, we moved to help take care of him and stuff, and it's been a lot, and I need to like prioritize like that and my wife and like my future and stuff
yeah,
before I kind of
100%.
like put content ahead of things. So until things kind of like settle down or calm down, I'm kind of like, hey, content's going to be a little spacey, sporadic. For now, the campaign might be on a little hiatus because like I don't want to say, hey, yeah, we're gonna do it every Wednesday, and then Wednesday night come around and like something happened like last week when you had to go to the hospital. Like I'd rather not have people like sit and wait for us to stream and then we have to
Yeah,
cancel like
and then
last minute and
cancel
then
it.
be
Yeah,
like, oh damn it. I'd rather let people know like, hey, listen, it's gonna be spacey. It's gonna be this for a hot minute. I got
don't
real
hold
life
your
going
breath
on.
on things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and like
yes, I
everybody has
understand that
been.
like a scheduled thing is what the algorithms love, and like having things out on regular, but that's not the important
It's
thing right
not
now.
feasible right now. It's not. And everybody has been very understanding like, oh dude, you got real life stuff going on, we'll be here. Which is
Yeah,
it's good if it's good to have that feeling and for people to tell me like, hey, you're good. Like we'll be here. Like we like you for who you guys are, not because like you're posting consistent stuff. When you do, we're gonna watch it. So
yeah,
I
hundred
really
percent.
like the
And
campaign. I like
I
the
found
system,
that
but
being really helpful as well. Like it's easy to get in your head and be like, I can't really be open and honest and stuff because people, what are people going to react? And then every time you do, the community's like, oh fuck, do you take your time, mate? Cancel
yeah,
whatever you need to cancel, postpone things. It's fine,
yeah,
we'll be here. Like I recently broke up with my fiance of 12 years, and I'm still processing that. And and I just like openly told people a few
same.
months ago, like, hey, this is what I'm going through, and like it's difficult. And it'll take me some time before I'm ready
Yeah,
to be like putting out new projects and focusing on expanding things.
yeah.
And everybody's been super just like, yeah, no worries, of course, you put yourself first. Like mental health is
Abs-
important, and we'd rather have you happy with doing what you're doing than burn out and not get any more content ever.
Mhm. And that's where I'm at with
Longevity
stuff
thing, yeah.
too. Is just like as much as I'd love to continue to put out or try my best to post this campaign weekly and like really like put my life on pause to do this once a week for like 2 hours. That's still a lot, and I don't think people like sometimes understand like that's a lot because you can't control life. And I guess
Yeah.
I'm not saying like anybody like really like asked me like or was like upset about the fact that like I had to put the campaign on a hiatus because of like life going on. But I'd have some people ask me like, "Hey, like, is there anything we can do to help you so that way you
Mm-hmm.
can do this on Wednesdays?" And I'm like, "Not really. Like,
Yeah.
there's
invent
nothing.
invent a cure for ALS.
Not even that. I mean, it's not even just like the ALS stuff too. I mean, like just like
Oh, I
life in
know, but
general.
that's
Me
not
starting a
it's not a
master's,
small thing.
us,
That's not a
yeah,
small
like
part of
me
it.
starting a master's program, us moving, because like my
Yeah.
wife and I, we owned a house for like 5 years.
Mm.
But the options were either my father-in-law, my brother-in-law moving with
Yeah.
us in our small ranch home. My small, I mean, like it was like 3 bedroom. It was good enough for me and my
Yeah.
wife, and we had like in our animals, but like not big enough to take in two other people.
Yeah.
Or we saw our house, moving my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, where they had definitely more space to help take care of everybody, and that was the option. And that has been like that. That took a big mental toll on me. That still kind of chokes me up a little bit to this day
Mm.
because I came from a not very good like financial background, I guess, like as a
Right. Yeah.
kid. Like I didn't have a lot,
Yeah.
so for the past like ever since I've been with my wife and everything, like we for the first time I knew it was like to have something of my own. Oh, have my own
Mm-hmm.
space,
Yeah.
have a house, a cleanly house, a room of my own, like everything. And it was like for 5 years or so, like I'm like, oh my god, like this is what it's like. I have a home. This is
Yeah.
my home,
Yeah.
And then we sell it. And like, yeah, did we profit a lot? We did because we took good care of it. And like, we
Yeah.
flipped it and
Yeah.
like all that stuff cool. And we're gonna put it towards our future dream house and everything. Great. But still, like just because like I know that the future for us is gonna be cool because we're gonna be able to build what we want to build, doesn't mean that like us moving and like that first like home of mine being like
Oh,
not taken
it's
away, but
definitely
like
a symbolic thing. Like,
it hurt,
it's not a
dude. Like
small
it
thing to be
like
like, well, that's like if it was a
it's
symbol
still
of
yeah.
I've made it and I'm financially secure enough
It
to own a
was,
house,
and
like
that's what
then
it
that
was for
symbol
me,
taking
man.
away is it's obviously gonna hurt. It's the same.
It
I'm going
fucked
through
me
a
up.
very similar thing. Like especially in the Auckland housing market where it's fucking expensive. My
Yeah.
fiance and I saved like frugally. We were both very thrifty and frugal people, and so we were like made sure to save every dime and like have use coupons and things where we need to on groceries, and like we really saved a lot, and then eventually we had life savings enough to put into a deposit on a house, and convince them that my job as a content creator was not as risky as it sounds. And so we bought a house, and then we were in it for a year, and it was amazing, and like holy shit, I own a house, and it was a huge symbol of success. And then I discovered I'm polyamorous, and I was like, holy shit, this is going to be a huge change for our relationship. I didn't know about that sort of relationship dynamic, and I took it to her and talked that through. And what does this mean for us? Is this something we can live with? And after 6 months of trying, we decided like neither of us can be fully happy and content with the life in if we're trying to compromise for each other and things, and we mutually decided that it's going to be better to part ways. But then symbolically, what does it mean for owning a house together now we've got to start selling, and I can understand exactly what you're saying. Like it's a huge kick to your sort of, oh shit, I was financially enough to own a house and now I don't, even though I know I will be again. It still doesn't reduce the fact that I'm not right now.
Yeah, it was rough. And it's been about 7-8 months, and a lot of people like have asked me like, oh, are you okay? And I'm just like, I'm doing better, like about it, but still like I thought I'd be okay like this far into it, like oh, like it's going on like 7-8 months now, but like I am, but not as good as I thought I'd be doing, because there's still days where I'm just like I'm pretty upset about it. Like I'd be lying. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say like I'm doing 100% okay.
Yeah.
Like, no, this sucks. Like, this does suck, and it's allowed to suck. I'm allowed to feel like this sucks because
100%.
it does. That like item of symbolicism is now gone. But we did it for the greater good. We did it for a good cause, good reason. We didn't like lose it. We didn't do anything stupid financially to like lose it.
Yeah.
We did it intentionally to help somebody that needed the help, and to benefit everybody in the future. But still, despite all that, it still fucking hurt, man. Like,
and I think it's also an element of that is like how we've been programmed or conditioned to think of owning a house as being like one of the winning conditions, the checkbox of like, do you have your shit together? Have you won as an adult?
Like, are you debt free? Do you own a house? Do you have student loan? Yeah.
And it's like, that was one of the check boxes for like, are you doing well? Back when houses were, X
$50,000. Yeah,
exactly, X amount from your yearly income. And yearly income has gone up this amount, house prices have gone up this amount. And like,
dude, we bought our house in
we're a whole generation that have been
2018, I think. Yeah, we bought our house in like 2018. So something like 5 years ago, give or take. And we just, like I said, just sold it this year. We bought it for like $120,000, USD.
Yeah.
We sold it this year. 5 years later, we sold it for, I think, a little over $250,000.
Wow.
That's how much the fucking markup has been.
Yeah.
It's insane, so it's just like, it's fucking like crazy, dude.
New Zealand house prices. So this 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom that I'm in right now, it cost us $1 million New Zealand, which would be about 2/3 of a million US. It'd be
holy shit!
About 700,000 US for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom in Auckland.
Holy.
We had to have almost 200,000 New Zealand for the deposit.
Jesus Christ.
Hence why I said it was life savings from me and my fiance for we were together 12 years. We were together 11 years before we bought the house, and like we were saving a long time for that. And
wow.
And that's the sort of and so people look at people who aren't able to afford that and go, oh, you're not succeeding.
Yeah.
Like all the generations and stuff.
Are you not winning at life? You can't afford $1 million to buy a house? Fuck you!
If you look at just the numbers of how much I earn every year, you'd be like, oh, he's doing really well. And then if you look at the numbers of how much I earn every year and how much of that goes to my mortgage alone, it's like, oh, I'm not putting anything in savings. Like I earn enough to pay for my mortgage
Yeah,
and
I'm
my
just
bills
getting
and
by,
my
everybody.
food.
Yeah,
I'm not impoverished in any way. I'm able to have just enough money, like disposable income for like paying for a personal trainer once a week, stuff like
yeah,
that. Like, but I'm not paying. I'm not earning enough to be doing all of that and be putting anything into
yeah.
savings.
Dude, shit's hard too, man. Like, it's not like my wife and I, we do very well. And I guess financially, you could say like I do mental health. She is a nurse.
Hmm.
I get extra money from content creation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't make like enough for like a career off of content because it's a business and like it's a very much a business model. Put money into the business, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, recirculate money, pay people, etc. I do make a little bit extra on the side. It's nice, but it's
Yeah.
like you said, some extra spending money. Like, oh, cool, I can afford to buy a new game, or I bought a new TV. Just little
Exactly.
things.
Yeah,
I'm not sitting here
you've got enough
relying
to
on
be
it.
like, hey, I've got adult money now. Finally.
Yeah, I've got
in
some
my
adult money.
in my
I can
mid
get my
30s,
I
I've
can do my
finally got
tattoos and stuff. Yeah, exactly. But like we do decent. We do well. But like we've
Yeah.
also like it's taken us a while to be able to get to the point where it's like we know we're financially secure and we've paid off all of our debt, we've done this, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But it took us a long time, man.
Yeah.
Like it was so hard. Like just like not that we've ever been like so tight where we had to like eat bread and cheese for dinner every night, but like
You can
no,
look at what you've
hey,
got
we
and
gotta,
still acknowledge, like, hey, I'm still
yeah,
wealthy in terms of like the average of the world, like this. So
yeah,
the people who are
yeah.
below the poverty line,
So
and not
it took
complaining.
me, her specifically, she was okay, but like it took me probably like 10 years to become completely debt free now. Like I
Right.
have no debt, which is
Yeah,
great.
I
It just took
still do.
fucking
I've still got
for
my student loan.
dude, it took forever. But the problem is now I'm going to go back into student loan debt because of my master's program.
Yeah.
Luckily, my work's going to help me pay for it, which is good. So it's not like much at all, but still.
I got a
But I don't
degree in
know.
acting, and then when I went back to get a real job after acting wasn't working out, I got a degree in mathematics. And then during my last term of my mathematics degree, my D&D stuff took off, and I was like, I'm not actually going to use either of these things.
There you go.
And so I've got 2 lots of student loan that's still stacked up.
Jesus.
I've been chipping away
Yeah.
at it over the years, but that's still
But
there, and then all of the mortgage debt is still there as well. So
yeah. Nah, so we took our time. Like we do very well we do very well financially, and people know that. They know what I do for a living, they know what she does for a living, and I also got this on the side. So we just stack a lot of money. We just do. So that way in the future, if we were to surprise she's pregnant or something,
yeah,
like
exactly.
or like,
Yeah.
oh, something happens, we have the extra money to take care of said situations that happen.
Yeah.
That being said, that shit's still stressful because like that's still stuff we got to save for and put money behind for. And just because we're doing so well financially doesn't mean like I'm like loaded or rich, because everything's so fucking expensive. So it's like, cool, yeah, we have X amount of dollars in our savings account. Well, here goes $10,000 immediately for the new fence I got to put in. It's just shit's so expensive now, man. It just keeps going up and up and up. It's just
the price of petrol. I just was at the supermarket the other day, and the price of petrol was $3 something a liter now, which is over $2 a liter.
yeah.
How many liters in a gallon? I can't remember.
Metrics. American's stupid. We don't use the liters. Liters in a gallon
4 liters
is
in a UK gallon?
3.78.
There you go. So two American dollars per liter. So that would be around $8 $8 a gallon.
Oh my god. Yeah, USD. Oh, damn it.
That's US that I
much?
gave you.
Yeah,
It would be the equivalent
I'm seeing how much.
of that.
How much is gas per gallon right now? About $3.92 per gallon.
So half the price that it is here.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Holy shit, dude. That's
Wraith is saying it's only $2.70 here in Hamilton. Just don't live in Auckland. That's still what, that's a saving of 40 cents. Yeah. It's crazy.
God.
It's just crazy how much things cost. Things just cost a hell of a lot of money, and you look at all
They
of the
do
graphs
cost a hell
of
of
like
a lot of money.
inflation.
Well, I mean,
and
look
then
at us right
all of
now.
the
We can't
inflation-
even.
all the inflation, the house prices, everything, the cost of living's just skyrocketed, and the minimum wages and stuff have just not. They've grown, but they've not grown at the same rate.
No.
Our
Yeah, why do you think we're
generation's
using a?
just priced out of things, priced out of just
Why do you-
owning things?
Why do you think we're using a burn barrel right now, not fire?
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we can
We're
afford.
on a burn barrel on this mission.
Jesus, that's all we can afford, man.
This is totes
Found it
adults
behind
in
a
their
dumpster
30s,
at a Walmart parking lot that nobody was using anymore. I put it in a shopping cart. Now here we are.
Yeah.
God.
Anyway, on lighter topics then, if we move into lighter topics, we'll talk
Yeah.
about the future of Brandon the DM and the Cantrip cast. Before we get
Yeah.
into talking about future, though, I just want to remind the people watching, if you have questions for us and you've been asking anything that I've been missing, I've been kind of keeping an eye on the chat, but I don't tend to focus on you guys when I've got such an interesting guest with me. If you have questions for either of us, redeem it with your channel points. It's only 50 channel points. You've definitely got those just by watching the stream so far. Ask the question, it goes into a redemptions list, and then I can get back to them at the end of the chat here.
Sweet.
So what does the future hold for you? What plans have you got for projects? What things would you love to do? What's blue sky things that you've got that you'd love to do by the end of your career?
I've got some plans. I do. My first plan is on my I've got like my professional plan and my content plan, and they kind of like intersect, but I do my best to keep them like close to each other, but then also like kind of keep them separate. You know what I mean?
Close enough that one can inform the other. Like you can draw on your work to inform.
My big plan right now is, with me pursuing my master's degree soon, is I want to have my own private practice where for like counseling and like clinical work, where kids can come in or like teenagers can come in and do like, you know, they can do TTRPG or escapism and role play therapy in a group setting in my own private practice. So I'm doing it now essentially through my own company, but I want to have like my own company or private practice where like that's our main thing. We do like TTRPG and escapism therapy in groups for like kids, teens, and like young adults and stuff.
Yeah.
That is my personal professional career plan. It's going to take some time. It's like a 10-year plan because like got to get my master's, my license. I have to get different independent licensures. Like it takes time, but I'm okay to wait that time because I know that's what I want to do professionally, and I'm fine with that.
How long does the master's take?
That's gonna take about a year. Hey, cover, here, sit.
He's bad, guys.
Anyways, it's gonna take about a year and a half to 2 years, give or take. Depending, it's the program I'm doing is very much like a kind of go at your own pace program.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
If I wanted to take 2 years because I got a lot going on, I can. If I wanted to take a year and a half, then I can. So
cool.
But about a year and a half to 2 to get my license or my master's degree. About another 6 months to a year, maybe, to get like the license after that, because I got to take the licensure test, and then I have to do like another year or two of like supervised work to get a certain letter on my license, and another year or two. It takes time, you know.
Yeah. Things add up.
It's the whole thing. That's my professional career. As for content career, like I just want to keep hanging out, having fun. The one thing I promised myself is I don't want to stress myself out too much. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
If I keep, if I just kind of keep doing what I'm doing now and posting sporadically and having fun with it, and that's what we do, then that's fine. You know, I'm not going to sit here and try to make content creation my main career, because I know it's not. However, you know, not going to say that's not going to stop me from trying to like get bigger on it, because it's cool. I thoroughly enjoy it. But the thing is, I do want to get into consistent, you know, a little more consistent videos once I kind of get more comfortable with where I'm at in life and stuff right now with everything I talked about that's going on. I want to get like a consistent series going. The big thing for me I want to do is I do want to play a consistent campaign again, because I missed that. And just when we got back into it, I realized like, nah, I shouldn't have hopped into this right away, because like the stuff with my father-in-law kept getting worse, and I was still like emotionally in this weird place, and that's why I kind of have like this weird hiatus and everything, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna post whenever I can, like, you know, whatever I want. But I do want to tell a story. I want to tell a really good story again, because that's like where this all started with me, was telling stories and being passionate. We thought about doing a third book. We were actually in the middle of doing a third book, but then all the OGL fiasco stuff started earlier this year, and we kind of put that on a hiatus. And I'm kind of happy that we did now, because looking back, I've been way too stressed, way too tired to do a third book like immediately. And whatever. We're in the background.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's really good and refreshing to hear somebody going like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get to it when I feel like I'm in the better place for it," because that's what. Yeah,
I don't want to.
Where I'm at the moment. I was talking to Dave from Careful Contrip during Gen Con. He was like, I've got this idea and this idea that I think you'd be great for, and like you should be doing this and you should be doing that if you want to expand." And I was like, this is amazing, and I look forward to talking to you about it when I'm in a place where I want to expand. But at the moment, I'm focused on making sure that I'm processing things correctly, and like this was a huge revelation for me and a huge life change over the last year, that I need to know that I'm in a good place before expanding my stuff.
No, and that's where I'm at. Just like, it's I don't know. I feel like there's a giant stigma behind like content creation of like, you gotta grind, you gotta go, you gotta put out the thing, you gotta do the stuff, and I'm just like, Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
I don't want to, so I'm not. Like,
Somebody emailed me as it's kind of one of these spam emails they kind of just chuck out to everybody, and they were like, "Do you want to grow
yeah,
as a blah de blah? I know all of the market trends, and I can with short
yeah.
form content you can grow." And in the email it said something like, "Stop making content that you love, and make content that the algorithm's going to push." And I was like,
No,
that's objectively bad advice. Delete.
that's yeah. Nobody wants to do that. No. So people ask me all the time, like, do you ever get sick of DM therapy? And I'm just like, yes and no. Not gonna lie. Yes, because I feel like that's all I do sometimes, but no, because I do enjoy the skit. I do genuinely enjoy it. That's why I keep doing it. If I didn't, I wouldn't keep making them. Sometimes I'll go a week or 2 or 3 without posting one
Yeah.
because I don't fucking feel like it, but
Yeah.
I do enjoy them.
And where do they come from? Like when you're playing games, do you play privately? Like, do you still play like home games that aren't streamed or anything?
Um, not
Or is
necessarily. Some
it
every
like
once in a while we'll
everything
get
is
together do like a
content?
one shot. Now, and that's the problem though, and
Yeah.
that's one thing me personally I'm trying to get better at is yes I do some stuff at home still, just some stuff at home. Like we'll play board games. Doesn't even have to
Yeah.
be like D and
Right. Yeah.
D.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cthulhu Wars is a big one I've been playing. I'm not
Right.
sure if you
Yeah.
heard of Cthulhu Wars,
Yeah.
but
I've,
like
I've played it a
fucking
couple times. Yeah.
okay, love the game. We'll play
Huge and
that.
very involved. It takes a long time, but it's fun.
Kind of, it's basically Risk with tentacles, but yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's fun. Um, we'll do some one shots, that kind of stuff, But a lot of where the DM therapy stuff comes from is just like, oh, I had this funny idea, so I'm gonna do a skit about it, or something funny did happen. It's a good mixture
Yeah.
of like it's a 50-50 split of like either it was a funny idea, or it was something that actually happened.
Yeah.
But like you
'Cause
said something about. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, like because I was the writer for a comedy skit series with the Viva the Dirt League channel called D&D Logic. That was
Yeah.
kind of just taking the piss out of stuff that if you applied the stuff from D&D world to real world, it would make no sense. Like long resting, healing all your wounds, and all that shit. And
Yeah.
every time, and like while I was playing the game, I'd just be like, yeah, that would be. Oh yeah, wait, click, did right on my phone. Yeah, okay, cool. Just add that to the list of possible script ideas.
Yeah. No, you said something along the lines of like everything is content. I'm like, yeah. That's one thing I am trying to get better at personally is not doing everything for content and doing things for me.
Yeah.
I've had a very bad habit, and I feel like a lot of people have fell into this trap too. A lot of people fell into the trap of doing content creation where like now everything they do, if it's not for content, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Or that's how they feel. And I felt like that for a while. It's like if I'm doing something,
I could be playing this thing for 3 hours and not recording it, but I could be playing this thing for 3 hours and recording it, and then I've potentially got more content to put out. Yeah.
and then exactly, and it's a trap. I'm not sure if trap is the right word, but it's like this weird mental kind of like standpoint of I've been in it for a while, and I've had that mentality for a while where if I'm not doing X for content, then it's a waste of time. If X is not content, X should not exist,
Yeah.
And that has been a trap that I have been doing better at getting myself out of. Like really trying to like playing like board games, like Cthulhu Wars and stuff with my friends. Like we don't stream it, we don't record it, nothing. We just sit down, we play, we have fun. My brother-in-law and we took one of the spare rooms in this house that we have here, which is actually connected. You can see this curtain right here. If you go out that way, we made like a whole entertainment room. I went out and I bought a big ass like 80-inch TV, new couch, hooked up my PlayStation in there and everything, surround sound systems, all that. None of my computer stuff is in there. None of my recording stuff is in there.
Yeah, that's
nothing.
good.
That is a place for like me and him to sit down and play a game together,
That's
watch a
awesome.
movie. My wife and I to watch a movie. Like
Get along
if
well
I
with
want to
your
play.
brother-in-law?
Oh yeah, we do
It's gonna
great.
be
Yeah, we play games stuff all the
very
time.
useful
Yeah.
when you're living in a
It
house
helps.
together. Yeah.
It helps. Yeah, it definitely does. But the PlayStation's in there. Like if I want to play Kingdom Hearts or a Spider-Man or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
I don't need to stream it. I don't need to record it. I don't need to. I'm allowed to have time for just me.
Yeah.
And that was such a hard thing for me to like accept and understand, like remind myself of is like I should be allowed to do things for me without needing the world to see that I'm doing things. And it took a while for me to like start kind of having that revelation of things. Like we just finished that room yesterday. We just put the couch together yesterday in there because like I knew I needed something for me because I was just like I've been doing too much. Wouldn't say too much, but I'm doing a lot of the things I've been doing has been like, oh, I have to do if I'm doing it, I might as well record it. Why would I not? It's content, right? Let's put it out. You never know what's going to blow up. You never know what's going to happen. You
Yeah.
never know what's going to get you clicks. You never know. But then I'm not doing it for me. Then I'm doing it
Yeah.
for other people, an audience. And at the same time, yeah, for
That's
me a little bit, but it's not.
It's yeah. AJ in the chat says it's the same trap as thinking that taking a day off is a bad thing. Like I can't take a day off.
Yeah,
I can't do a whole day without doing any kind of work.
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
have
and
to, I
it's
have to
just
take something off my to-do list every day.
yeah, and it's like I have done a lot better at that, and like my wife and I, she's been great, man. Like she knows me and her have both mentally been through a lot over all the stuff that's happened over the past like year with like my father-in-law moving in the house and
Yeah.
everything, and she knows how much I like doing content. But she also knows like when I need a break from it, you know. And she's been like a good like kind of like rock and resource. And been like, Brent, you need to step away for a minute because
Yeah,
I can
right.
tell you're stressing out too much. She's like, do this something. She's like, if you want to play a game, get on your computer, then go do it. She's like, but you don't have to show the world. She's like, you're allowed to
Yeah,
do
right.
stuff for just you. She's like, take the PlayStation, hook it up to a TV. Do that's what we did. We went out and we bought like stuff and made like a whole entertainment room. She's like, this is your space for you, not for your audience. This is for
Can
you. And
you,
I'm just
while
like,
you're doing those
fuck.
things, can you get into a headset of like, I'm okay to be doing this, or is there like a feeling of guilt in the back of your mind the
It
whole time?
was. I'm not gonna lie. I sat and yesterday I played. What did I play yesterday for a little bit? Oh, I played like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, like just cause
Right,
like I like
right,
the
right.
Dragon Ball games
Yeah,
for like an hour. I'm just like, it was fun, but it was weird. I'm not gonna lie. It was weird. Like I could be streaming this right now, but I'm not. This is
yeah.
so weird. And like that alone yesterday, that moment alone, I was like, oh wow, I've very much like indoctrinated myself to thinking like I have to stream
I
and
have to be
content and
on. Yeah,
everything. This is a problem. I shouldn't have to. Like I'm allowed to do things for just me. I should be allowed to enjoy games and not even just games, just anything without feeling like I need to make content out of it. And that's something I'm trying to like kind of again, that's part of like my healing process, I guess you could say here, is that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
yeah.
I really struggle with that still. Like, I'll get to the end of a day where I've just kind of procrastinated or done nothing because my brain was like my body was telling me like, hey, we need to take time off of
Stop
doing
it.
work. But the whole day, it's like, I don't know. I've seen it as like a meme for ADHD folk as well, and it's piled onto the things that it's like, maybe I should get a test to see if I actually have ADHD or not, because there's so
Yeah.
many of these things that I actually relate to. But I've seen it before where people are like, oh, you'll get into like an ADHD paralysis where you go, I should be doing work, but there's so much to do, and then but I also need time off, and I need to look after myself. But and
Yeah.
then you end up you end up kind of doing nothing. You're not really working, but you're also not like relaxing and enjoying yourself or doing something enjoyable like playing a video game. You're just doing nothing all day, and then you get to
Yeah.
the end of the day and you feel like shit because you're like, well, I didn't get anything done, and I wasted the day,
Yeah.
and I didn't even
Yep.
relax for the day either.
Yeah. I had a very much what did I do? Oh, I downloaded the entirety of like I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. Big Kingdom
Right?
Hearts
Yeah.
fan. Love Kingdom Hearts. And they had like the entire package on sale on the PlayStation Network like a few months ago. So I got every single Kingdom Hearts game ever on my PlayStation 5,
Nice.
just sitting there, waiting for me to play. Now, the first thing that went through my head was like, oh, I can't wait to play this. It was, I can't wait to stream this or make content out of this.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, whoa, wait. No, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that. So I haven't touched it yet because I made a promise to myself saying like I love this game series, this franchise for me. I refuse to stream this series. I'm going to play this for me, not for an audience. This is going to be a game for me to play, and that's why I haven't touched it yet because I'm still working myself out of that mindset of like I'm allowed to enjoy things for just me. You know,
I
like so like it's
yeah,
I
I
don't know.
reminded myself when I sort of realized I kind of need this. I reminded myself of like the games that I've lost myself to fully in the past.
Yeah.
Like Stardew Valley was one of them, and I was like, okay, let's play Stardew Valley with some friends, and I'll
Yep.
play it with friends because then I can force myself to not feel guilty about that afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
about like I won't feel guilty while I'm playing it that I'm like I should be doing something else. And
Yep.
so I try to, whenever I need the time, I will message that Stardew Valley group and be like, "Hey, we haven't played in a while. Can we play some Stardew Valley?"
Just to hang out.
Yeah,
And it's good for you, man. It is. And it's like you were talking about my brother-in-law and stuff and like yeah, we get along really well and you know, Baldur's Gate 3 came out. Everybody's been playing it. Whatever. Love the game. I am streaming it on my side channel, like my gaming channel and everything, for the fun of it, for like a fun solo player campaign.
Yeah.
But I do have a multiplayer campaign going on with my brother-in-law. Me and him have a 2-player campaign going on that we play at least a couple times a week for just me. I don't record it. I don't stream it.
Right.
I don't do shit. It's just me and him having fun and playing. And it's been really nice, honestly, just to sit and talk and play a game without the stress of like a camera or needing to make clips. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's taken me time to get to that point, but I needed to like, this is kind of, like I said, part of the healing process of like stepping back and realizing I'm allowed to enjoy things for just me. Not everything needs to be content. It doesn't need to be. And that's okay.
It's very healthy.
Yep.
Before we get into the questions from the redemptions, then the people from the chat, I just wanted to ask you about Quest and how it's going with the couple of games that you have played with the model web. I enjoyed listening to the system. It's just everything's a D20, no modifiers.
Yeah. Quest is cool. It's literally such an easy system. It's just a D20. There's literally a D20 scale. From like a 1 is a nat fail, obviously a 2 through 8 is a failure, a 9 through something is medium consequent. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a pass fail system with it's like a scaled pass fail system. Really nice, really simple. Character sheets are skill trees. So like instead of you having like you have abilities and stuff, but how do I put this? Like the fighter, for example, the fighter has like 7 different skill trees they can choose from to build out however they want to build.
Right.
You know, or you can take a skill tree from a different skill. You know what I mean? Like, so you can pretty much mix and match your character however you want to. Very simple.
But everybody always only ever has 10 hit points.
Everybody only has 10 hit points at all times. If you get pretty much. Yeah. You don't get any more than 10.
Monsters only ever do like 1 or 2 damage, right?
Damage is static across the board. There's no roll damage. So everything is static.
If you hit, you do damage.
Yeah, if you hit, you do damage. Each weapon or spell or ability you do has a specific amount that it does. So like an unarmed strike is going to do 1 damage. A weapon attack is going to do 2. A magic weapon is going to do like 3 to 4. A spell might do 4 to 5, depending on what it, you know what I mean? Like it all depends.
Gotcha.
It says what it is. So it's like taking like 5 damage in a game like Quest is a big fucking deal because that's half your health. Yeah. One of the things I like about it.
It's something that I've wanted to change about D&D. I've homebrewed so much about D&D that people joke that it's basically not D&D anymore. It's D&D in name only because I've got all these house rules. But one of the things I've always been iffy about is like the difference between like physical health and stamina. And I've never liked the kind of healing all of your physical health overnight. And I was like, maybe one day I'll go with something. And I know they did this in some of the earlier editions in Pathfinder, I think, where it was like you've got a very small pool of like actual hit points, and when people are hitting you or striking at you, they're hitting away at your stamina points. And if all of that works out, then they can actually get a strike on you and cut you, and then that damage doesn't come back overnight. You get your stamina back overnight, but you don't get your actual hit points back until like you actually receive magical healing.
That makes sense. Yeah, and that's what I like with Quest specifically. It's such a simple system. It's so simple, but like I like what they've done with a lot of the stuff, and just the way they handle like combat and death and stuff, or like injuries even. Like you have 10 HP. If you get knocked down to 0, you don't die outright. You're technically still conscious. However, if you get hit one more time at 0, doesn't matter for how much. Doesn't matter. If you get hit one more time, one of 2 things happens: either you die, or you suffer like you become unconscious and suffer like a critical injury, like you lose a limb, or like you lose an eye. You suffer like a major, dire consequence that lasts through the game. It's not just like a oopsie whoopsies, you broke your ankle, now you're gonna come back up, you're fine.
Heal it up again.
No, like it's a big deal. So like if you're at 0 HP and you get hit for 3 damage, and when you're at 0, you roll a d20. If the d20 is 3 or lower, you die. That's it. You're dead.
Oh wow.
That's it. Or if you get hit for 5, you roll 5 or lower, you're dead. If you roll higher than that, you're still alive. But something bad still happens because you got hit when you were at 0. Like you might lose a hand. You might like, depending on what happened to you, like you will suffer like a game-lasting consequence or injury. You might permanently lose 2 HP.
That's up to the guide to decide, or is that
it's up to the guide to decide. Yeah, I mean, like there's some suggestions and stuff of like if this happens, you could implement this or etc. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. There's things like you can build up tolerances to health potions, like. If you drink more than 1 before like a long rest or like a camp out, like then like they start to have a lesser effect on you. And I'm like, that kind of makes sense actually. Now that I think about it,
just get a health potion addiction, and you're like, I'm just constantly topping up my, and so it's like, well, you're building up a tolerance.
Yeah, you got to be smart with combat. Yeah, you got to be smart with combat in the game because it's like cool in D&D you see 10 goblins and you're just like fuck you.
Yeah.
In Quest you see 10 goblins, you're like fuck us, we
Better
got to
be
go.
careful. Yeah,
This is
like that's
run.
kind of the thing that first started my irritation with the way that D&D does hit points is pretty much exactly that. Like in once you're above, say, and it's not even like a high level. Once you're above like level 4 or something, because you're rolling new hit points every single level and adding your Constitution modifier on every single level. Once you get to like level 4, a town guard could have you tied up with a crossbow, a heavy crossbow pointed directly point blank at your face, and then say like, "Don't do this XYZ or I'll shoot you." And then you're like, "Ah, fuck you, I'll do it." And then they shoot you. They roll to see if they hit you. If they hit you, even if they crit you, they do a D10, 2d10 damage, and they can't possibly kill
But
you.
you're still
like,
fine. Yeah.
You're like, how are you gonna? How do you coup de grace somebody if they've got more than 20 hit points? There's no weapon that does 20 hit points from a single thing. So like that's what started me thinking way back when about like maybe I'll homebrew something eventually where it's like you've got 10 hit points that are your last 10 hit points essentially are straight up your health points, and if somebody is coup de grace you if they're slitting your throat in the middle of the night or shooting you point blank with a crossbow, it goes into your health before it goes into your stamina or something.
Yeah.
So to give people still that fear of goblins and kobolds even at later levels, where it's like if they get a lucky crit, like it's gonna go straight through your stamina and to your
Yeah, I feel like there should be like I don't know. In a lot of our D&D games that we do, we have a Christian actually, who, the other part of the cantrip cast. He has a crit fail chart that we use for like combat and stuff.
Yeah.
Where like if somebody gets a natural 20, like just be and that to avoid kind of what you said of like, oh yeah, I don't fucking care if it's a nat 20. I got 70 HP. I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, this was a natural 20. They went through the armor. Like they went past that resistance you have. Like they hit you in the one vulnerability that you had for one of these things to happen. So it's like a D100, there's like different scales on there. It's like nat 20 happens. You roll the monster will roll a D100 to see what exactly happens, or we'll let the player roll, and whoever wants to roll for the D100 to see what happens.
Yeah.
And it could be a thing as simple as like, oh, this one was just double damage. They just hit you really fucking hard. Or this one's like, oh no, they cut your head off like on 100. Like it just happens. Like there's still no matter how high level you are, there's still the threat of like, oh no, like shit can still happen. Yeah. You don't know, like you don't know.
Yeah, I introduced a massive damage table in my games as well that kind of serves a similar purpose of like if the rogue sneaks up behind someone, gets a shit ton of sneak attack on a crit, but the monster has a huge amount of hit points, they feel hard done by because they're like, but I slit his throat. It's like, and so I introduced a massive damage thing where it's like if you can do at least half of their hit points in a single attack, then there's a pretty high chance that they will just drop to 0 anyway. Because their system goes into shock from that huge amount of damage from one thing. Anyway, really got to get to chat questions, otherwise we'll run out of time for them. So Centauri asks, what is your comfort D&D class or race that you always find as a combo to go back to?
Ooh, for me, Halfling Bard.
Halfling Bards, yeah.
Halfling Bard, yeah.
I never go back to a particular thing. I always love to try, what's the next thing?
I like trying different things, but if somebody's just like, hey, you need a character right now, what are you playing? Halfling Bard.
Fair enough. Fellogun says, I would imagine it would be super hard to do D&D as therapy, so many potential pitfalls to avoid. How do you manage them?
It's actually not hard. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of like works itself out because a lot of the way it works with these kids, or specifically just like people in general, is like a lot of them are coming in together for the first time and they don't know each other. So off the rip, you're doing social skill and like empathy and just like rapport building immediately, making characters together. That session 0 is important because people are going to know each other, what kind of characters they're playing, what kind of quirks they're going to have, what kind of information they're going to learn, like et cetera, et cetera. So they're working together to build a team together that's going to collaborate, and that's off the rip. And then session by session, the way I design it is like each time we do a session, I make sure there's some sort of lesson incorporated or a challenge or a problem they need to solve together or something going on they need to work together to overcome. And that's the biggest kind of way of therapy that I run it, is making people work together and solve problems together to learn to use things like communication and coping skills, etc. And then through the knit and grit of that happening, I take individual characteristics of each person and implement problems that they are going to then have to solve for themselves and their characters, to have that individual standpoint of therapy as they're also working with each other. So the entire thing bubbled together is just really therapeutic in general. And if that doesn't work for everybody, if they don't need social skills, communication to work on personal things, sometimes it's just nice to be with other people to bitch and stress about things. It's just nice. So
For sure.
yeah.
Leading on from that, I'll jump to Fancy's question. The Fancy Unicorn is my assistant community manager, editor, just general help in doing everything that I do. And she says, "Could you please give me a 1 minute soundbite of short rest?" So let's just sum up. I'll say. So what is it about Dungeons and Dragons that makes for good therapy?
The social skills, the communication, the immersion of character growth of you and yourself inside the game.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Fancy.
Yes.
Gotta try and get that soundbite in. Centauri asks, are there any limitations you've encountered when using D&D as a therapeutic tool?
A little bit. It depends on the age sometimes. With the younger kids, it is kind of harder. That's probably the biggest limitation is like, I've run it for like middle school, like elementary school age kids, and they like it, they enjoy it. But it sometimes gets a little chaotic, and it's hard to like really implement some lessons and stuff at the younger age. It is at that age, it's more about them learning to socialize than it is about like the actual therapy behind it. But then sometimes you do get the characters that, the people, I would say, that make it hard for other people to want to keep playing the game because of the way they might behave or things they might do. Stuff that you typically run into like at a D&D game sometimes with people they don't want to play with. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes that does happen in a therapy group. And you gotta have conversations that are kind of tough with people. Like, hey, maybe this isn't a good fit for you, or did you realize you're making people uncomfortable here, et cetera, et cetera. So there are definitely roadblocks with stuff like that. Like with any other social skills or therapy group that might have problems, you're going to have the same kind of issues that you're going to have like in a D&D therapy group.
That makes sense.
Mm.
Brandon, I have volunteered to DM a game for a 12-year-old since I won't let him join our adult game, says Vorteria. My first time as a DM. What is a good module to start a first-time youth player on? Possibly a single player.
A single player,
if you were gonna play D&D with a single player, a 12-year-old.
Oh, I would make something up on the fly, honestly.
Yeah, same. That's what I said when Ontario asked me about this.
I'm not trying to sell my book here, but the Codex of Quest.
Go right ahead.
The Codex
part of
Quest, the book our first book that we made, it's literally 55 one-shots that are levels like 1 through 20, that are really goofy. They're like anywhere from like 1 to 4 pages. And I'm not saying go out and buy my book, but I am saying just write your own really goofy like 1 or 2 page quest. Like, it doesn't need to be a pre-written module or anything. Like we have taken, I don't know, do a quick little off the rip real quick. What do I got around here right now? I've got a coffee mug right here that's got iced coffee in it. I'm out of iced coffee. I don't know what to do. I've got this weird squirrel thing right here that has hand sanitizer. Is it my hand sanitizer that my wife left for me on my desk because I like squirrels? I don't know. Okay, the quest is about this squirrel currently needs to get iced coffee for its hill giant overlord, but has to make its way downstairs and fight its way past Odin, the giant dog, and that's the one shot. So you're playing as a squirrel fighter that has to make your way out of this room to go downstairs to get the iced coffee to bring it back upstairs. Boom, one shot. Be level 5 one shot squirrel fighter versus a direwolf.
We ran something eerily similar to that on Dead Aussie Gamers channel one time when we were meant to be doing something else, and then one of the players just pulled out very last minute because he was sick, and so we were already in the green room to go live, and Dag was like, all right, we'll go ahead and do something anyway, and he just made something up on the fly where we were all playing minifigures in a D&D game, but we were like sentient and we hated being played with and like forced to do things every single day. So we looked across at it was coming up to Christmas, and so we looked across the room at the Christmas tree and saw that the Christmas tree ornaments they only got played with once a year. So if we could get across onto the Christmas tree while the people weren't looking, then we could get put away in the box and they wouldn't force us to fight each other every year. And so we had to fight our way across the table and then down across the shag carpet and then up the Christmas tree. And it was just improvised bullshit.
The whole thing.
It's crazy.
It's awesome.
All right, we'll make this the last question then because we're almost out of time.
Okay.
Fancy Unicorn asks, for someone wanting to run a game for their friends, what 3 things should they keep in mind that are useful to discuss beforehand?
For someone who wants to game with their friends, what 3 things should they keep in mind? one thing I like to do is make sure everybody's comfortable with whatever themes you're running. I know that's a very like cliche thing to say, but like it is also very important because you want everybody to be comfortable and to have fun. And if there's one person that's like you can just tell like they're uncomfortable with the scenario, the situation, whatever. I'm not saying that them being uncomfortable is going to like ruin it. That's not like the right word, but like people are allowed to be uncomfortable with things they're not comfortable with.
Yes.
And just because they're uncomfortable with it doesn't mean it's like ruining it for anybody else, but it does mean that there's going to be tension. You don't want that. You don't want that weird awkward tension of like this person doesn't like this, and you want to respect people's boundaries and stuff. So definitely have like that good session zero of like what's everybody comfortable with, what are your hard lines. Jesus Christ, Odin. That's one thing. Second thing would probably be just don't be afraid to let loose and have fun. That's again kind of cliche. Just like keep it loose. Don't be super tight on rules. Like the most fun D&D that I've played has been like we can give a fuck about the rules and just like don't care. Like just whatever. Rule of cool all the way. Just keep it that way. You know, you're not playing in a league or a tournament. You're playing with your friends. If somebody does something cool for fun of it, that'd be fun.
That makes sense.
And I guess a third thing I would say as a DM, if you were the DM, just remember it's not you against your players, it's you with your players.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, Joe Baby snuck one in before we ended there. It's been interesting hearing from a creator side as a content consumer. What I watch on a full YouTube video versus TikToks and Shorts, etc. are so different. There are some Shorts that I generally wouldn't be interested in being any longer, and some longer stuff that I don't think would make good shorter content or out of context, etc. I always wonder why people try to cross-platform. As to me, I think it has to be created for the medium that it was designed for. Do you create content with a medium in mind, or do you just come up with ideas and share it and then adjust to fit your audience? Basically, what comes first in your creative process?
God, that's a good question.
Do you make Dungeon Master Therapy and then go, this will work as an Instagram reel, a YouTube short, and a TikTok, and just put it on all?
I think that's kind of where I fell to. I don't think I made it specifically for TikTok. I think that's just what worked. Well, I mean, okay, well, maybe no. It was. I started with it on TikTok. Fuck, I didn't even think about that. God, it just blew my mind.
The reason for it, from my perspective, Joe Baby, is that I don't have time. I don't have time to be making a different thing of content for every single platform. And
that too.
You cannot be on just one platform. You're putting all your eggs in one basket, and the things that you are signing, the agreements that you're signing when you sign up for an account on YouTube, TikTok, wherever. It's giving the powers that be full control over everything, and if YouTube just shuts itself down, or some megalomaniac monster takes over for $42 billion, and then turns the company into an X, like if you don't know what's going to happen to the company. If you've invested only in that one platform, you're fucked. And I am speaking from that exact scenario. Like I know a lot of people who are big on Twitter, and Twitter's on fire. It's a cesspool. And so you have to be on all these different contents, all these different platforms, and you cannot afford the time to be making things for everything. So I stream on Twitch. I take the Twitch stream and I top and tail it and put it on YouTube, and then we take the YouTube and we cut shorts out of it. We strip the audio and put it out as a podcast. We make the out of context shorts for the Instagram and the all the other things, and it's the only way to actually get in front of the people on those different platforms and say, hey, I'm also making content over here.
I think that unintentionally I did make it for every platform. But initially, I want to say like I just made DM therapy and like my skits for the fun of it. It just so happened that it worked out for like pretty much every platform. So I do post it like almost everywhere, so. Makes sense. I don't think it was ever just like, oh, I need to make this one specifically for this platform and this one specifically for this one. And they got to be different in these ways because this is YouTube and this is TikTok. No, I just like, fuck it. It should work for both, shouldn't it? And then I just post the same thing on both places. So
it's the one that's really interesting is Reddit. Like I think the things that work well on Reddit is when you don't post it. Like the things that work best on Reddit tends to be like the community is going like, hey,
other people find it and they post it.
They post it and stuff. So it's the one that I don't post to. I don't post to Reddit. And if somebody wants to share my stuff on Reddit in an appropriate thread, then it'll do better.
Yep.
Anyway, that is all the questions from the chat. That is all the time that we have, unfortunately. So we will we'll kick back from this burn barrel, and we will wipe our hands of this, draw our swords, and we have to go and kill these mutants that are out of this overturned train. Where can people find you, Brandon?
They can find me at youtube.com/thecantripcast. That is where you can find my D&D and TTRPG content. You can find me on TikTok at TikTok slash at Brandon the DM. Or if you want to find, if you like gaming, like Sea of Thieves and other video games and stuff, you can find me on my side channel, my personal gaming channel. That is youtube.com/at Brain of Brandon. Which, if you don't mind, can I put it in the chat real quick, because I'm actually going to be streaming Sea of Thieves here in a little bit. It was deleted. Damn it. That's fine.
Oh.
No, there it is.
Francis
There you go. Thank you, Fancy. You can find me at youtube.com/at Brain of Brandon. That's where I do my, my side kind of gaming stuff, like a lot of Sea of Thieves and my favorite games and everything. I'm only saying that because I'm going to be streaming probably here in the next hour.
Yeah, fair enough. Go check out Brain and Brandon.
Yeah, it's fun. But no, those are the three. But most people come for the TTRPG stuff, so.
Yeah, and if you're here from Brandon's community and you don't know who I'm Robert Hartley, GM, most well known for being the Dungeon Master from a comedy group called Viva La Dirt League over on YouTube, Viva La Dirt League D&D. We do half-hour episodes of an actual play with a focus on comedy and acting out in the green screen stuff that's happened at the table. Just for humour, really, really easy to jump in on. Going to get even easier to jump in on soon, because we've just filmed a bunch of recap episodes that'll be able to onboard you to any point in the campaign that you want to jump in on. I was going to say,
for Viva La Dirt League's the community, where are those at? Like the campaigns and stuff. Is it on their main channel? Like...
No, we've got two different. The Viva La Dirt League have got their own channel with like nearly 6 million subscribers, and then the secondary channel is called Viva La Dirt League D&D, and that's the stuff with all the D&D content. They did put originally we did a Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus 9-episode one-off. And that went onto their main channel, and the people who loved it really loved it. The people who didn't really didn't, and so that's why they branched off into a second.
Viva La Dirt League D&D. Here it is. Okay, cool, awesome,
so
sweet.
That channel's doing really well. That's what most people know me from. But I make my own content all over the internet at Robert Hartley GM. So drop a follow if you like it, and if you like this sort of style of thing as well. Short rest. I'm doing them every week with some other person from the community. So I'll be back next week to see who we're talking to then. All right, well,
there we go.
The embers have burned down in our burn barrel. We've run out of filtered water. We need to get back to
time to go to the broken down Walmart and get a new one. Yeah, they got them on back. This one's all rusty.
Cock the shotgun.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, thanks for being here, man. And
suggestion, pet the dog. Wait, come here. Odin, come here.
Gotta pet the dog. Gotta pet the dog.
Hey, Pupper.
Before we go.
Hey, Pupper. Hey, buddy.
I'll be petting the dog before I go to bed.
I know. He's got to go. He's got to go outside.
All right. See you guys later. Bye.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Nice talking, everybody.
All hail the algorithm gods. Comment, like, and subscribe.